There it is. Here we go. We're back. It's been a while, but it's great
Yes.
to be back as we continue the Harry Potter live commentary series as we go to year 5, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I know we've been off for a while. Um, I was out of town for a few months for personal reasons, family emergency. Not going to get into it, but if anybody is concerned, I'll just say things worked out. It's okay. It was kind of scary for a little while there in November and December, but came out of it okay. So more fortunate than some people that have been in that situation. So looking good. So anyway, I've been back since February, but I've had a hard time getting back in the swing of things and rhythm. So that's why it's been even since February a bit of a delay to get this one going. Like I said, I might go all the way back to the summer when we did the last one
Yeah.
before Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. And as far as intros go, don't want to be too long, but and I know that we're always repeating ourselves. We're saying stuff that we said in previous ones, and I try not to do too much of that. But I know people who, if you've been following this series, know like this is my least favorite of the films. I don't think it's terrible or anything, and actually, I'm very much looking forward to watching it because it's been a while. I haven't watched this one in a long time because it's my least favorite. I haven't like revisited it at all recently, so it's probably been a couple years at least since I last watched it start to finish. So even though I'm very critical of it in a lot of ways, I still am looking forward to doing this and actually watching it. And maybe I'll even feel a bit differently about it. I don't know. But yes, the easiest thing to say is like, as again, people who are familiar with the series know, a lot of what I'm doing is I'm comparing them to the books and saying, changes they made. And often I'm very critical, but I try to say, sometimes I understand why these changes have to be made. You have to cut things, you have to get in things, simplify things. But I mean, they just took a hatchet to this book. This is the longest book in the series, longer even than, the final book, which was split into 2 separate movies. This probably should have been 2 movies, but I understand how it would seem odd to do that for part 5 of a 7-part thing, to split it into 2. It would be pretty unprecedented. What's funny is because, once you get to our final movie here, which came out, 2011?
Yeah,
I
that
think.
sounds right.
Yeah. So when they split those two they split the final into 2 movies, that kind of set the precedent for like how a lot of these sort of YA fantasy series would go, because they did the same thing with Twilight. That's what they did. They did, what was it, Breaking Dawn, like parts 1 and 2, and I think they did the same thing with the Hunger Games.
Yeah,
So it's almost
I think
like
you're right.
they sort of set the precedent for having the final movie, since it's so big and so important, be split into 2. Now, I didn't read those series, so I can't speak to whether or not that was a good thing or bad thing. Actually, I remember way back on your channel when we did the famous Twilight series Rumble,
Yes.
and people were kind of surprised by how seriously I took it. I was like, you guys don't know. Like, if I'm going to do something, I do it all the way. And I think I had mentioned that, like, the final Twilight book really isn't that long. It's not much longer than any of the others. And it was kind of ridiculous to split it into 2. But it was kind of like that was the trend. That's what you do. And that was kind of happened set by Harry Potter. And so I understand that if you're going to get back to when this movie was coming out, none of that's happened yet. It would be very strange to have the 5th book be 2 movies. So I get them making it into 1, but it's the shortest of the ones. Like, it's significantly shorter than like It's almost like 45 minutes shorter than Chamber of Secrets or something. It's crazy how much
Quite a
shorter
bit.
it is. Yeah. So, but anyway, so that is one of the reasons why I'm very critical of it. As I said, I do try to point out, regardless, where I think maybe a change, I at least understood why they did it, or even sometimes if I thought it was for the better, there are little moments I think it's for the better. There might even be one in this movie, as much as I don't like the movie, and we'll see how it feels when we get there. But I was going to say, so just winding it back into the books. So this book came out on June 21st, 2003. And, by this time, the Harry Potter books were a worldwide phenomenon. We already had the first 2 movies out. They were tremendously success. So, we're right in the full grip of Harry Potter, Pottermania, whatever you want to call it. And I think I'm seeing here that on its release day, it sold 5 million copies in the first 24 hours of its release. I was one of the people that did that because, so my first 2 years of university, I lived in a residence, and then this is the summer of 2003. So this is between my second and third years. So I've moved out of residence, and I'm now in my first ever apartment, not really an apartment, and I've mentioned before, actually on the series, it's a flat. We're on the first floor of a flat, and I'm there with my roommate from college and my sister, and we're living there. And I mentioned it before because I talked about how the rowdy Australians lived above us. I brought it up because of Crookshanks, because I said there was a neighborhood cat that looked just like Crookshanks in the movies, or it was actually before the movies had come out, but the way he was described in the books, right? This large ginger cat with a squashed face. He was like a neighborhood cat that we would feed, and my sister and I named him Crookshanks in honor of the character. But anyway, going back, so that summer we had only probably been there for like a couple, maybe only a month or so, because this again between the scholastic years 2002 2003. I'm adding too much information. I'll just say. So getting back to the book, like a lot of books that are highly anticipated, like around the world, that are big things, bookstores would have midnight sales. So my sister and I assume my roommate, I can't remember if he came, but anyway, it doesn't matter for the story. We went to a neighborhood bookstore for the midnight release of this book. And I bring it up only because, like, that's not something I've really done before. I think it's the only time I've ever done this. And it was fun. This was just a small neighborhood bookstore. It wasn't a chain bookstore. It was just a little place downtown called The Bookmark. Can you imagine how many bookstores in North America must be called The Bookmark? It'd be like having a pizza place and calling it like Mario's or something, Like how many of those are there? But anyway, and what was a little bit of fun about it was they did you could get like when you went in, everybody got like tickets, and they would do some draws. And the reason again I bring it up is because like my family always jokes like how unlucky we are. We've never won shit, and for years, it's like 30 years, my parents would always do like the even split at the hockey game, never even come close, anything like that. But that night, my family won big, so there was 3 prizes. The top prize was a box set of the movies to that point, which is the first 3 movies. So it was a box set of the first 3 movies on DVD. My sister won that. I won second prize, which was a box set of the 5 books, which was really cool because that included the book I had come to buy. Now I didn't even have to buy it because it had all 5. So here it is. This is the Harry Potter box set, which is brand new, including the, as it shows here, Order of the Phoenix. So
very cool.
What's interesting, but as I've said on previous things, there's a space here because I somehow lost the first one, Philosopher's Stone. So it's not in there. Anyway, I don't remember what third prize was, but so yeah, it was kind of cool that my sister won first prize and I won second prize and what third prize was. So, and I actually got to win the book that I had come down to buy, plus the others. So here it is for those. Nice cover, and it stretches around, and people who know the book well know that this is the these are the statues in the fountain at the Ministry of Magic. With a couple golden wizards and witches and a little couple house elves and a centaur. Anyway, they actually play a bit of a role, so that's why they're in there. So sadly, unlike other ones, this is the only copy I have. I don't have a nice, lushly illustrated copy to show anybody. Such a book exists. That is the latest one. Those big Jim K ones I was showing. That's the latest one. It is out. I just haven't gotten it yet. I hope to get it at some point, but it's rather expensive and I've had to prioritize other things. So unfortunately, I won't have any cool pictures to show off for this episode. But anyway, so that's one of the reasons. And as I said, like Harry Potter Mania, and this is before the movie again, when I'm talking about this, I can remember in the months leading up to the book's release in summer 2003, I can remember being on like Napster or some other like file sharing thing. They were all the rage in the early 2000s. And I remember being in my dorm room at the time, and it had like supposedly like a leaked script of this, but it wasn't. It was like just some fanfic. But I read like 3 chapters of it, and it wasn't bad. I wish I could tell you what it was like. I can't remember now, but I remember downloading it and reading it and thinking, is this it? But I've kind of eventually discerned that no, it wasn't, that it was just some fanfic. Although I'm sure they did leak scripts at some point, as things often happen. But anyway, here is the movie itself. Just an ordinary standard Blu-ray DVD digital copy combo. This was one of the best-selling Blu-rays of all time. Again, we're right at the height of Harry Potter Mania with the movie. So the movie came out in 2007. So that's I think until this point, weren't they coming out each year? 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005. I think each of the first four just came out year by year. And now we finally had a gap. And you'll have to tell me if I'm remembering this wrong, too. Now, I know the original Harry Potter for sure. The very first one, Philosopher's Stone, had a November release. I was thinking that they tried to do that every year, makes them come out in November. But this one, like its book, had a summer release. So I'm not sure if this is the first movie in the series to have a summer release. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe others did. But I don't know. I don't think so. Because I seem to remember them happening like during the school year. Because I was in school during that time at college. And this one, at both the book and movie, I have firm memories of them coming out, which was in the summer. So I don't know. So summer 2007. So the other notable thing to say about it, of course, is that it is the first film in the series to be directed by David Yates. And David Yates would, hold the position for the rest of the series. He would not only direct the rest of the Harry Potter films, but he would also go on to direct all the spin-off films, those Fantastic Beasts films. He directed all those. So I think a lot of people think of David Yates as sort of the premier Harry Potter director, definitive in a way, just because he's done the most, even if he came in kind of late. Newell, who had done the fourth one, he was offered to do it and he turned it down. And then there were several other rather high profile directors, including Guillermo del Toro, that turned it down for various reasons. Jean-Pierre Jeunet, that would have been interesting, but yeah, it was another person that was considered. But I'm not sure why Mike Newell turned it down. He might have just had other commitments. But speaking of other commitments, this is also why Michael Goldenberg wrote the script to this, because we have talked about Steve Kloves, or Cloves, or however it's said, writing all the scripts in the series except for this one. And he had some other prior commitment and he couldn't do it. And so this is why this is the one movie he did not do the screenplay for. It was Michael Goldenberg. And I just want to say, even though this is my least favorite of the movie, it's not necessarily because I think it's all because of switching to Goldenberg. It's impossible to say how Clovis would have done it. It seemed like, I don't think it's usually the screenwriter's prerogative to cut a whole bunch of stuff. I think that's more, more of an executive editorial decision. So I don't necessarily think that it was Goldenberg's idea to cut so much and have a shorter, tighter script. I'm not sure. But I just want to say, even though this is the one movie that's, a different screenwriter, I'm not necessarily saying that's why I think it's the worst, but we'll see. So, yeah, you remember the circumstances around when this movie was coming out?
Definitely. I've told the story now probably 5 times, but I read the books. It started after the third movie, but I started reading the books then, and I'd read them right after. So by now you had read a couple.
You had read a couple of the books, right? Yeah.
Yep. But the main thing was, again, like the last one, I was at Universal City Walk, Universal Studios. I'm pretty sure. I know it was opening night, the midnight showing, because my buddy Lindsay, his cousins Dea, and her friend Mia, they'd get the tickets. They'd be in line for us. So this was another one I saw opening night, midnight, big crowd. And long story short, I kind of came out of it, because I hadn't read the book, feeling like they chopped a lot out of the book, or from what was in the book, making this movie. It felt very choppy my first watch. I've grown to like it a lot more, and since read the book, and it was kind of true. But that was my first reaction to it. Now I do want to share, and again, it was just an awesome time for Harry Potter too. Like you said, that's kind of in the height of both the books and the movies.
Right. So you still have the mystery of upcoming books. It's not.
Yeah, you don't know how it's going to end.
We don't know how it ends. We don't know how it's going to end. So it's really that, and it's turned into this massive thing.
So yeah, so it's a big party. Basically going to these movies, and I'm not going to share them all. Maybe I can split them up between the last movies we have, but I do want to share a couple. Sure. I don't know if you know, we usually keep in touch, but my family and I went to Universal Studios this past summer in August. And
Oh, yes.
of course, they have the Harry Potter world. And I was going to share just a couple of pictures from it. But, and of course, now I got to pull them up, and it's not.
How do I make it so it's... Oops, that's me.
There we go.
That's us.
I think you can just share. Oh, you just wanted to get like that.
I was just trying to do... Oh, no, isn't there just a way to, like, highlight you, though?
Oh, you don't need to... You can just pull up the picture. You don't need to highlight me. I don't have, like,
oh, that's there. Okay, I didn't know I could do it. Very, very cool. Oh, it's the train platform.
Oh, yeah. There's platform 9 3/4 there. I have several pics here with the platform 9 3/4 sign. I'm just trying to pull up one or two from the vacation. I guess I can pull.
Oh, do I have to remove this one? Okay, I see how it goes. Okay, I get it.
You can see 9 3/4.
The glasses.
Yeah. We actually need those.
Every boy with glasses identifies with Harry.
It isn't just for the Harry Potter. We need those.
I know. You guys are just copycats.
And then this is actually, I might save the castle picture for another, but this is actually walking the queue into the Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey ride, which is in the castle. And the castle, man, is just amazing. Walking through the queue, you're going through like you're walking in the castle.
That's so cool. Yeah,
Defense against the Dark Arts room. The pictures move along the wall. You're like in the castle.
Wow.
And it is.
Yeah. For all the stuff I've experienced with Harry Potter, I have not experienced like that part, like rides or something. Like that would be so cool.
It's one of the best rides I've been on. It's so immersive.
I would definitely do it for sure. That's so fun.
It was a trip. Maybe I can share one more and then I'll save, like I said.
Sure. Yeah.
A little more for. Well, here's me drinking some butterbeer in Diagon Alley.
Oh.
If it pops up here.
Well, you're lucky then, because I've only had to imagine what that must taste like.
Oh, I was waiting for years to try it, and
did it live up to expectations, or was it different?
I think it did. I really think it did. The best way, and it's probably been described online many times like this, it is a cream soda base with like a really butterscotch syrup,
buttery scotch
and foam.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how I picture it. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it was cold. It was good. You had like 3 different choices. You could get frozen, cold, or I can't remember the third one, but I know there was 3 choices. I got the standard cold because I wanted the liquid, and we all enjoyed it. I think I did. You used to like hot there. Wanted cream soda.
Did they have like a float option? I used to like floats when I was a kid. Remember floats?
It might have been something like that.
You get like a root beer with like ice cream in it.
It might have been.
Get those when I was a kid. That's something I should have.
No, it was an ice cream. It was an ice cream.
Oh, okay,
like butterbeer ice cream.
Right.
Or you could get a frozen butterbeer drink, and then you could get the regular, and of course got the regular.
Very cool. Well, now I'm craving
file
that.
Must have been too big.
Oh, can't get it?
This
okay.
If this one pops up, it'll be my last one.
We'll get started here.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and get started.
So it's queued up. So the way it opens is, you've got the Warner Brothers logo in the dark, foreboding sky. We just sort of jump right in. These movies are a lot like Star Wars in that they don't want to have like opening credits like directed by. They just want to jump you right into the story, which I think is the right thing to do. It's more immersive. So we're queued up to that, so we can do a 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
And then go. Good?
I'm ready.
Okay, so 3, 2, 1, hitting play. I'm sure, as usual, I'll have to adjust my volume. But yeah, I mean, this one has the dark. It's letting us know right off, like setting the tone. He who is not, let's not be named, has returned. He's back for sure. things are different. Things just got real. Martin Lawrence. Shit just got real.
Yeah.
Because, this is the first book I can remember, like, before the book came out, like, really thinking hard myself, like, where the story's going to go, like, what's going to happen. All right. So, after they were cut, what's funny is, like, talk about how much is cut from this movie, but because the Dementor attack is so important, they have to go back to pre-Hogwarts. So, while the Dursleys have been cut from the fourth movie, they return for this movie because it's a key scene to have Harry be attacked with Dementors with Dudley present. So this is close to the same. For some reason, they have Dudley's gang stay longer. In the books, they're already long gone before the Dementors show up. Here, his gang seems to decide to leave because the Dementors are there. Now, again, Muggles can't see Dementors, but they can sense their presence, right? The sky is going to darken, and they're going to be like, oh, let's get out of here, So, I mean, that's fine, I suppose. This is the same actor, and he's aged. It is kind of jarring since we haven't seen him since the third movie, so you see how big he's gotten. So, it's funny, we talked about how you can't blame them for the casting. For instance, Rupert Grint didn't quite grow the way Ron grows, but you can't blame him for that. This actor did grow to be quite large, as Dudley's supposed to be. Oh yes, so they're reminding us right off for anybody that forgot. Like the last thing he experienced was Cedric being killed and Voldemort returning. So this is only a few weeks later. So he's dealing with some PTSD here. So the other thing I'll say is, I think there's a lot of unpleasant stuff in both the book and the movie, and I think they try to downplay some of it in the movie so it keeps things more fun. Because this movie, coinciding with the more serious situation in Voldemort's return, and also the fact that the Ministry refuses to accept this and brands Harry a liar. This coincides with Harry's growing up into teenage angst. In the book, Harry is very angsty. He's often very irritable. He snaps at his friends and things. They have a little of that in the movie, but they really downplay it in the movie. And I think because they want to keep Harry more likable. I think that's a big mistake. Harry's not supposed to be perfect. He's supposed to be flawed. He's supposed to be able to, have trouble dealing with pressure sometimes. Even though he's the chosen one, he's still supposed to be sort of ordinary. He's not extraordinary. And yet the movie's like, well, we don't want him being a jerk. But I was like, I don't know. I think you need to have some of the scenes where he's a jerk. So that's one of the first things I'll say. I think this movie really drops the ball on that by not showing Harry under the amount of strain that they need to show. Like, it shows up in certain scenes, but it doesn't feel as organic. It feels forced. Whereas throughout the whole book, Harry is very annoyed and upset and irritated for good reason, but also he does things he shouldn't do, like snapping at Ron and Hermione, who of course are his best friends and always on his side. They really downplay that, if not outright eliminate it. So, Return of the Dementors that were introduced in the third one. Luckily, Harry has trained for this.
Oh, the Dementors were scary in the Forbidden Journey ride. Oh, I will see that.
I'm sure they would be.
Get right up in there.
Yeah. So I don't like how that's done because you don't even really get a good look at his Patronus. And when he sends it here, it doesn't even seem to have its form. It just looks like a ball.
Ball of light, yeah.
Is that like the effects budget crapping out? It's like it should be a fully formed stag. Speaking of stuff that's cut, when he has his hearing, when he gets grilled by that council at the hearing, one of the people, Amelia Jones, she asks him very specific questions about his ability to use the charm. And she's very impressed. This is how Harry learns what the word corporeal means. He doesn't know what it means. She says, you're able to produce a fully corporeal Patronus? And he's like, what? And she explains what it means. They say, oh, yes. And she's like, wow, that's very advanced magic. That's, of course, cut. So here's our squib. Shit, what's her name? It'll come to me.
Oh, man.
Mrs. Fig. So that's Mrs. Fig. So once again, the movies are showing her as if she's just shown up, but Mrs. Fig has been mentioned multiple times in the books. She hasn't made an appearance, but she's been mentioned. One of the things is like often Harry would sometimes get invited to spend an afternoon with her, but the whole thing was she could never reveal that she was, even though she's a squib and not a wizard, she's part of the wizarding world. The movies once again downplay the idea of squibs. Like, it's never stated that she is one. It's never stated that Filch is one. Like, nope. You could guess it, but it's never stated. And some people even have accused the books of being ableist. I kind of get that, but I think that's more just, again, sort of just like seeing what you want to see. I don't think it's necessarily about being ableist. It's just squibs do hold a weird place in the wizarding world, and it is a little bit awkward. Oh, this now you've finally done it. You've driven him loony. So, again, some stuff here is Petunia here seems to act completely ignorant, but Petunia actually knows what Dementors are, even if she couldn't see them, in that that horrible boy, she means Snape, told her and her sister, of course, Harry's mother, about them. No such dialogue takes place here. Here's another condensing thing. He's just getting the one letter. He actually gets a series of letters, each indicating a different thing. One about how he was under review, another how he was going to get this and that. This is an official warning. He gets several. Then it's like, okay, you're expelled. We're going to destroy your wand. Like all this stuff. They're just combining it all into one letter, saying that he's expelled. Boom. I don't mind that. I get it. They're just sort of combining it into one letter. But it is kind of more exciting in the book because you have this dynamic of the Dursleys yelling at him and being mean to him, and then every couple of minutes they get interrupted by another letter. So things just sort of keep cascading and get worse and worse for Harry as it goes. This condenses that. We're not up to a part where I'm mad yet, you know? Everything I'm okay with so far. Like, okay, you know, they've done what they've had to do. They've condensed it. I don't have any issues yet, but things are going to go off the rails mighty quick. Also, Mrs. Fig mentions that Harry was supposed to be being watched by one of the other Order members, Mundungus Fletcher, or whatever his name is, who does show up in one of the later movies, but he actually does first appear in this book. He doesn't even get mentioned here. Because the whole point is that, you know, just because Harry's there, like he's under guard, various people are watching him. Here's our flashback to Cedric. So, like they did in all the movies, they're going to condense timelines again. They're going to have the he already is hearing, you know, various members of the Order showing up to protect him. That doesn't happen the same night. It happens several days later. Another thing is there's going to be far fewer. There's actually a whole gang of them that come in. Here they only have about 5 or 6 of them. What have we got? We've got, I guess I don't need to guess it. We're going to see it. I think Lupin's one of them. Kingsley Shacklebolt. Definitely Tonks. It's her introduction. And of course, the first time we get, not the first time, but we get to see the real Mad Eye Moody. Yeah. There's some guy in the back there. I'm not sure who he's supposed to be. But there's a whole, see, there's a guy there with a hat. We're not sure. He is named. He might be Daedalus Diggle. Daedalus Diggle was one of them. Diggle or Daggle or something like that. So again, I don't mind. They're simplifying things a little bit. There's, you know, they're going straight out. There's no conversation beforehand. Again, we got to get moving.
Don't call me Nymphadora.
They're known as the Advance Guard. Also, Tonks is supposed to show her changing abilities, but she doesn't here. She only does it much later in the movie. So, okay, so Lupin's not with them. Okay, so Lupin's actually one of the ones that was in. So they've cut Lupin from the scene. So again, for the sake of making it visually fun, we can just see them flying around, but of course, that would be terrible writing, and it's not terrible writing in the book because they have like a cool camouflage charm on them that makes them seem somewhat invisible. Think of it like the way the Predator from the Predator movies has like that stealth camo stuff. It's the same idea, and it's described as like, it's almost like breaking an egg over your head and feeling this trickling cold sensation go down over you. But they were like, hell, fuck that. We want them to see them. So they just have them flying low across London with tons of people able to see them, which is really stupid. But I think that was a choice, not necessarily from a writing perspective. I think it was, again, they're like, well, we want to see them. We want the audience to see them.
Yeah,
so
definitely
we
a visual perspective.
Yeah. So here, of course, is the Black family home where poor Sirius has to basically stay. So we've moved past the chapter 3. So we're coming to number 12. Chapter 4, number 12, Grimold Place. This is a nice effect, shoving stuff outside. A completely hidden building. This is where things break down for me because I really love this place. I love the way it's described in the book, and we see so little of it in the movie. Because again, they're accelerating the timeline here. Like Harry's not, it's not even close to the school year yet. Like I think we're barely halfway through the summer. Harry spends at least a couple weeks here. Yeah, so I think Lupin's here now instead. But Lupin was actually part of the advance guard because he was the first person he recognized. Yeah, Lupin was in the advance guard. Just want to make sure I'm getting this right. See, it looks good. It's very sinister and dark and sort of old-fashioned and grimy, but we don't get to see enough of it. Because the whole thing is there are several chapters as Harry, Ron, and Hermione and some of the others, they have the task of cleaning the place because there's a lot of dangerous stuff in here and traps, and there's a Bogart and some things that they have to take care of. But none of that's going to happen in the movie. Here's good old racist creature.
Mm-hmm.
Because people are like, what? Racism isn't funny. That's not true. Racism's funny if it's completely fictional racism. If you have a house elf, which is something that doesn't exist, calling a wizard a mudblood, I think I can laugh at that because there's no parallel to it in reality. I'm not laughing at any real racism.
No, not at all.
So I think it's not meant to be funny. I just mean I find it funny. There was a show I used to watch that was a Nickelodeon show called Invader Zim. It was about this incompetent alien that wanted to conquer the Earth. And he thought he was on an official mission, but he was actually banished by the higher ups. And he's just trying to conquer Earth, and he sucks at it. And he's super xenophobic and racist against the Earthlings. He thinks they're absolutely filthy and disgusting. And it's hilarious, right? So that's some racism you can laugh about. I don't like those matching shirts. Oh, I don't know about that.
It is a bit strange. I've never really thought about it much before, but
see, the look is good. This is a good set. It looks really good. Looks the way it should. So, see, we get a bit of Harry's angst here. So there's Hermione taking Ron's lines again. That can't blame Clovis for that. So we do have a bit of his angst here. He is mad about how he is being kept in the dark and he didn't know what was going on. It was so annoying that he had to keep looking in the Muggle newspapers just to see if he could find anything out. Nobody was telling him anything. He's pissed off. All right, now the other thing is that those two are old enough. They passed their operation tests and they operate all over the place. What's funny is I never... I guess that's what extendable ears are. I pictured them differently when I read it, but I guess that's what they meant and I was wrong. Literally just ears that you would hang down somewhere. I don't know. I don't know what I pictured. I just remember being surprised when I actually saw it in the movie. But if you look here, you don't need to read anything. But if you'll notice there's a block of text that's all caps. I don't know if you can make that out.
Focused in just as you...
Yeah, it's about here-ish. That's Harry screaming at everybody. And so, you see, they don't have that here, right? They're like... Let's not have Harry blowing up and screaming at people. But I don't know. I do think you kind of need it. Hermione, I hate your cat. Another thing is there is a scene that's not cut but moved and that's Sirius showing him the family portrait on the wall and explaining a little bit about his history and the Black history and how he was, expelled from the family. They do have that in the movie, but they move it to the Christmas break. The reason I don't like that is because it feels like he doesn't even have any time to get to know Sirius until then. Like, I like that he actually establishes a connection with Sirius before going to school. So I don't like that they moved it. I feel like it's important to him because at this point he doesn't really know Sirius, right? He hasn't been able to be in contact with him hardly at all.
Exactly. It feels too rushed.
They sent a few letters back and forth. Sirius tried to give him some advice, during the 4th year and stuff. Fudge, all is well. The Daily Prophet, yes. Right. So obviously they can't cut this, but what they do cut is Percy, right? A big part of this is that Percy, it now works for the Ministry of Magic and is towing the company line and has a huge rift with his family in that, he doesn't believe Harry and he, that's pretty much completely. I don't think they even mention Percy in the movie. I'm not saying that's the most important thing in the world, but it is something of note because it does show that Ron is dealing with something too, like it's his brother, his own brother has become estranged from the family.
Yeah. I think you see him at some point, don't you, with like the Ministry in a group, but he really doesn't have any lines.
I think you do see him, just like in the 4th movie. Like he does technically show up, but he doesn't have any lines or anything. And if you didn't recognize him, it'd be easy enough to not even know.
Yeah.
As I said, I'm sure I'm repeating myself back when we did the 4th movie. Like he was Barty Crouch's assistant, and so he was always with him. And then when Barty Crouch died, he basically replaced him and became one of the judges on the panel. So there was a lot of stuff going on there. And that's one thing that really bothered Harry, because, he didn't know Percy as well as the others, but he's always gotten along with him. And now he's like, Percy's official stance is that I'm a fucking liar.
Yeah.
So he's saying, I want to join, I want to fight, blah, blah, blah. And this is where he first learns what the Order of the Phoenix is. Of course, his parents had been members of the original group back when he was, Voldemort was active. It's also a good running gag about how the twins keep evaporating everywhere and it drives Mrs. Weasley crazy. Genius, these muggles. Yeah. So that's pretty well shot because without having to give too much away, it's showing because things are different, they're relying on Muggle transport, which they're not used to doing. That is pretty much we get that without them having to explain it. So this is our first look at the Ministry of Magic. And it looks pretty cool as Harry goes to his hearing. But yeah, see, there's a whole chapter here called The Noble and Most Ancient House of Black, which is all about him and Sirius having a conversation about, how the pureblooded wizarding families, the ones that, try to keep things, they're practically incestuous because they've run out of, options because they don't want to mix with anybody that has Muggle blood in them. So one of the things is that Sirius is actually a cousin to Bellatrix Lestrange. He's also, which makes him related to Malfoy because Bellatrix is the sister of Lucius Malfoy's wife. So that means Sirius is also related to the Malfoys. Tonks is also a cousin of Sirius. This all looks really good. The shots there, it's very, I don't know, Thatcher's England or something, I think. I think at the time, because this movie came out in 2007, it probably made me think of V for Vendetta, the movie, which had come out in 2005, with all those shots of the ruling party. England prevails. That's speaking of adaptations. That's one of the ones where I honestly feel like the comic and the movie are equally good. And even though people can complain about the many changes they made for the movie. To them, it made a lot more sense because they were trying to. Because really, if you wanted to make a movie in 2005 that followed V for Vendetta really closely, it would be difficult to convey to a contemporary audience because it was really about like 80s England. So trying to move that into the 2000s, I think it would be awkward. So the Ministry of Magic, and then this chapter 7, we've already scooted through that. So we're coming up to chapter 8, the hearing.
I was kind of bummed at Universal. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, of course, the hearing itself is very condensed too, but I don't necessarily have a problem with that.
It still works from what I can recall. It doesn't cut too much to where it's annoying.
They cover basically what they need to cover, I think. Like if I was at the theater watching this for the first time, so far I'm not having any issues. And trust me, I do remember being quite upset in the theater watching this. We're not there yet. So far, I'm more or less satisfied. Actually, there is no extra chair, but Dumbledore makes a nice cushy chair for himself out of nothing, and then another one for Mrs. Fig. That's another thing. Like Dumbledore is coming in a bit early. Harry gets grilled a bit well before Dumbledore actually arrives.
I think that's how I felt without even reading the books yet, is that a lot of these scenes through this movie just felt like it went bam, bam, bam. And it's like, how much did you cut out of that book?
They are doing the same thing here. They're asking him questions. He's trying to answer, and then they're cutting him off and throwing him but it doesn't work as well because Dumbledore is already here. Like, we're supposed to understand that Harry's just having a horrible time. They ask him a question. He starts to answer. He starts to explain. They cut him off and hit him with another question before he can explain the context. Because, I mean, if I was Harry, I would have been like, you need to understand context. Do you honestly think I would just conjure this for no reason? Like, he never gets a chance to even say that, you know? I mean, is the point. Because you'd be like, well, that's what I'd say. The whole point is, if he wants to say that, they keep cutting him off and not leaving him a chance. It's not like Harry's too dumb. It's like they don't give him the opportunity. Anyway. So, yeah, here again, she doesn't, it just says, please describe the attack. She doesn't identify herself. She doesn't tell them that she's a squib. Because the whole thing is because one of them shows some of their sort of racism or ableism in that they say, can squibs, because remember, Muggles can't see Dementors, right? They say, can squibs see Dementors? It might even be Umbridge herself who says that. And she's just like, yes, we can. And I did. So, of course, another big change here is a casting change, which I mostly don't mind because, again, we've talked about Rowling's problematic ideas for some physical characteristics in that book Umbridge is very ugly and hideous. She's a large toad-like looking woman with a high girlish voice, blah, blah, blah. In this, she's just sort of an ordinary looking woman with a high girlish voice. It's funny, Jamie, I don't know if Jamie's still here, but Jamie says this is her least favorite because she hates Umbridge so much. You hear about this a lot. You hear about hateable villains, right? There's such thing as villains. We get that they're the bad guys, but we like them as the bad guys. But then there are villains that do things that are so mean and petty that audiences just can't stand them. I have to say, I'm not trying to say I'm above all that, but I don't work that way. I get what her purpose is. Like, I don't understand how you can dislike a movie or a book because it has a hateable villain. Yeah, you're supposed to hate them. It's like people that, like, particularly not reading the books, but people that watch Game of Thrones that talk to how much they loathed Joffrey and they just drove them insane. I was like, well, that's his character. I don't know what you want. He's a bad guy who does bad things.
Then the characters have done their job, or the actors have done their jobs.
Yeah. And I don't mean to say I'm so above it. And I can understand it. Like, yeah, I mean, that she's a total bitch. And some people and that's the whole thing, right? Like, Voldemort's the ultimate villain. He's evil. But he's not the one that drives people crazy. Umbridge drives people crazy because she's got a level of pettiness to her and cruelty. And of course, those things are in him too, but it's a bit different because he's this grand dark lord and she's just an ordinary woman. So I guess I get it. I assume that woman who's doing most of the talking is Amelia Bones, but she's never named. Of course, she has a daughter at the school, and her friend I mean, her daughter is friends with Cho, so that's going to be another big difference here. So they're going to have, when the DA, Dumbledore's Army, gets ratted out, they have Cho do it, which is part, but Cho doesn't do it. It's her friend who does it. And she does it, one of the reasons is she has a lot of pressure because she's worried about her mother's position at the ministry, because her mother is one of the like more pro-Potter people, which is almost impossible at this point. So there's the other thing. He doesn't even talk to Harry. And Harry's like, what the hell? So again, we're going to skip over and go straight to him going to school. Instead, they spend time cleaning out. We have a chapter 9, The Woes of Mrs. Weasley. I talked about this before when we were doing the third movie, and I said, if you really think about it, like having a Bogart turn into a Dementor or just a Bogart doing what it does would be a horrible idea with students, because it's going to turn into their worst fears. You're going to traumatize a lot of them. But just for the sake of it, it's like, oh, they're afraid of mummies and spiders and stuff. It's like, no, they can have real fears. So here, what they're doing, this scene is actually a scene that Harry has later on, I think at Christmas time, and it's not with Sirius. It's with Moody. Moody is the one that gives him the picture of the old original Order of the Phoenix. And it's much different in the book, because here, Harry seems at least somewhat interested and seems to appreciate it, whereas in the book, he's just upset, because almost everybody in the picture, including his parents, are dead. And he finds that really upsetting. And he thinks Moody's kind of a wacko for thinking he'd enjoy it. But here it's like he and Sirius sort of have a calm, contemplative mode. That's not a change I mind. It's just, it's one of those changes that feels like a sideways move. Like it doesn't fix anything. It doesn't make anything hang together any better. It doesn't bridge a gap between things. You know, it feels like a sideways move to me. A change just for the sake of making a change. Because the whole other thing here is like that they're cutting out is that he was not supposed to come with them because he's still a wanted fugitive, but he comes in dog form, which they still think is too risky, and then it's implied that that Malfoy, the kid Malfoy, recognizes him. Oh, starting to hallucinate. You're a sharp
it doesn't excuse it, but maybe that last scene with Sirius was too, since they cut out, like you said, the getting to know each other.
To give him something. To give him something.
Element, right. Yeah, that they have a bond.
Yeah, so I guess, like I said, that doesn't bother me. So for a movie that I find the most objectionable and bothers me the most, we're pretty, this whole intro, I really mostly don't have any issues with. I think most of the things are acceptable. Most of the things make sense. But we're going to get to some stuff that's going to start to really bother me.
Yeah. I still don't think this is my least favorite of the movies, though. It's definitely not at the top either.
Mm-hmm. Could be right in the middle, huh?
Yeah. And maybe middle to lower still. It's so
Harry also had a big...
In the end, I love them all. I was going to say, in the end, I love them all.
It's only Malfoy. Oh, there's Cho. So, something they also have been doing since the first movie is downplaying Neville. Neville's actually with them here, which is nice. Is that Neville also can see the Thestrals. Neville saw some relative or somebody die. So Harry's actually not with them at the same time, because the whole point is here, like Harry. See, Neville being here would negate everything, because they're just like, what are you doing? Like, actually, Neville can see the Thestrals. So him being here negates that, because they're just like, there's nothing here. It's pulling itself, like always. I don't know. It seems like another weird plot hole that, that Rowling like wrote herself into a corner with, because it's like, wouldn't people have been able to hear them? At least if they couldn't see them, they still make sound. They still take up space. Couldn't somebody bump into them?
Yeah.
All right. So here's a fan favorite character.
It's hard not to like Luna. Come on.
Luna. I like her a lot. In fact, as I said, one of my main problems with the series in the writing is I hate the shipping. I hate Ron and Hermione together. I hate Harry with Ginny even more. I always thought Harry with Luna would have been good, but they're just firmly friends throughout the whole thing. It's always a now this I do like a bit. You remember how I said for the sake of the movie they try to make Harry a little more likable and not as angsty and pissed off and stuff. I think that's a mistake. I don't think it's a mistake that they kind of downplay how like rude even his friends are to Luna. Like in the books, even the people that are supposedly like nice to Luna, the ones that are sort of friends, they're still pretty rude to her. Like there's a lot of internal monologue for Harry where he's like really put off by her and finds her annoying and stuff. I'm glad that we don't get that because it does make them look kind of just as bad. Like they're not openly bullying Luna, like they're not jerks like that, but they are kind of still judging her. So it's just as well that that's absent. But I was going to say something. It was pretty crazy. It says here where I have it that so the actor's name is Ivana Lynch. 15,000 girls auditioned for that.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
I can't imagine casting that at all. I'd have to, 15,000 to see 15,000. I know you have several casting ways, not the director to look at 50.
Not all of them are like, there's levels to it, right? Only a certain amount actually get in to do like a full scene or something or whatever like that. I imagine. Yeah. It's interesting because she doesn't really have the hair that's described. People have heard me already complain about the treatment of blondes in the movies, how they're mostly erased. Luna is a prominent blonde. What's interesting is with this actress, she's actually more of a classic blonde. In the movies, she's more of a dirty blonde like me. Not the movies, the books. Dirty blonde or ash blonde, as it's sometimes noted. When I was young, I was a strawberry blonde, but as I got older, my hair darkened into an ash. But yeah, this is more or less the same. She interrupts Dumbledore, which people are like, what? Now she gives her whole thing of this weird speech. And once again, it makes Ron, and it's in the book too, Ron and her Harry, maybe it's because they've stopped learning English, right? Now that they're at Hogwarts, they don't learn English anymore, right? Like they don't really understand what she meant, and Hermione sort of has to explain to her, like, obviously it is that, and it means the Ministry is interfering at Hogwarts. They're shortening that. It's more of a long discussion, which is fine. I don't mind that either. So far, again, I'm not really having issues. But once we get into the way the school works, for instance, it was a big deal because it was a big plot point in the third year in Prisoner of Azkaban that Hagrid made the transition from gamekeeper to teacher, right? He became care of magical creatures teacher. And that was a big plot point in the third one with Buckbeak and everything. And that continues throughout the books. But in the movies, they're just like, no, we're done with that. So like there's no scenes of that in the fourth movie, and there's no scenes of it in the fifth movie. So that causes some problems. There's Seamus really going at him.
Don't you dare trouble with one of me. I haven't got anyone who calls me a liar. He's mad at what's going on.
I mean, Ron does what he's supposed to. You believe him? He's like, yeah, I do. I love that common room. I would be so cool to be in Gryffindor Tower. I guess that wouldn't be part of Universal, but I like the cozy aspect of Hogwarts too, right? I just found Hogwarts to be very cozy and comforting, particularly places like the Gryffindor Tower and common room and dormitories.
I said I'm fine, Ron.
Yeah, so Ron stands up for him, but he's just like, fuck off, Ron. Because, the fourth one was where they had real conflict, where Ron was sort of jealous of him. Now things are sort of reversed, where Harry's being the dick. And Ron's actually being quite mature about it.
Yep.
Because I was going to say about Hagrid being removed, or his scenes being removed, and the scenes of Care of Magical Creatures. They do handle it in sort of at least one deft way, which leads to one of the changes, and I'll talk about when we get there, that a lot of people think is actually for the better. And I'm sort of on the fence. I don't know, but we're not there yet, so anyway. Oh, there's the Patel twins, who would not actually be in the same class, because one of them is in Ravenclaw. Padma and Pavarti, I believe I'm not sure. I think Padma might be the Ravenclaw. Don't quote me on that. But yeah. But as usual, and there's Slytherins again. So I know people are tired of me doing this, but I don't like it when they shoehorn other houses into the same class. The Slytherins, for the millionth time, the Slytherins have never, ever, ever been in defense of the dark arts as with the Gryffindors. Just never. And they're showing that the other Pavarti or Padma, the Patel. They're showing that she's also a Gryffindor, which is wrong. They just showed her in Gryffindor colors, but she's a Ravenclaw. Those are small things, but they hurt me.
That almost annoys me more than
books.
them being in the same class with different houses.
Yeah, and that they literally did make her a Gryffindor. You can see she's wearing Gryffindor colors. As I said, Ravenclaws, except for Cho, Ravenclaws have no presence in the movies at all. Cho is the only Ravenclaw with any sort of presence in the movies. They have the least presence in the books too, but it's not as. So you can see some Ravenclaws. You can see they're blue. All four here. So for the sake of the movies, it just seems to suggest that the classes are so small that they can put every house in the same class by year. It's this is all the fifth years apparently, but we know that's not true. But it's more or less the same. The whole idea is you're going to study defensive spells, but you're not going to use them, which is really weird because you think the whole point of Hogwarts is it's a very hands-on, practical school, right? They're always saying, wands out, do this, do that. It's never just theory. It's never just reading stuff. So this would be very jarring for them, where she's just you don't need to practice at all. Just read what's in the book. That goes against pretty much how they do almost every other class, or at least the magic classes. It is important to note that they do have classes such as history of magic, which doesn't have any actual magic in it. That is just ordinary setting. If you were a muggle, you could take history of magic. One thing I think that was always a problem with the series as a whole, including the books, is that they also made it that if you were a muggle, you could probably do potions too. I always thought that was a missed opportunity. Just write in that maybe sometimes when you were doing ingredients, you have to enchant them or do something with your wands. But the way it's presented in both the movie and the books is a muggle could actually do potions just fine as long as they followed the directions. They didn't need any magical ability whatsoever to make these potions. I just think that's a mistake, but it's not the worst thing in the world. They really do a great job here of how disgusting she made her office. Oh, and she has OCD. OCD. Yes. This is a pretty good scene in both. The whole I must not tell lies deal is one of the ones where you do start to understand Harry's personality and where it diverges from me. I want to think I'm a cool rebel that handles things too, but I can't imagine not telling on Umbridge. Harry makes a point that he will not give her the satisfaction of telling on her, but I don't know. Because the first thing they say is go to McGonagall. That she can't do this. I absolutely would. The idea of some teacher making me physically harm myself, but Harry's so stubborn. He's no, it's a battle of wills between me and her. It's just Jesus, Harry, get over yourself.
Dude, yeah, exactly. Sometimes when he does that, and I don't think this is the only movie, it makes shit worse. And it's if you would have just talked to McGonagall or Dumbledore about this problem. This is
the movie where he makes the biggest mistakes, right?
Yeah.
He gets the whole thing happens because he falls for a trick. The whole thing is he goes rushing off to the ministry because he thinks that he has to, that he's going to save Sirius. Even though he has all sorts of things and people telling him that that's probably not true or it's a trap. He falls for it hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
The fifth and sixth books are both frustrating reads to me because even though they're both good books, is in the fifth, it becomes very clear early on that Harry is definitely going to throw himself into a trap. And the sixth book is very frustrating because it's very clear that plenty of people could have stopped Malfoy from doing what he winds up doing, and they just let it happen. You're such a liar, Harry Potter. So again, this is the first movie with no Quidditch at all. While the fourth movie and book, of course, they cancel Quidditch because of the Triwizard Tournament, you still see a little bit of the World Cup, although you literally don't see any actual playing. You just see the teams come out. This eliminates Quidditch entirely, which is, I think, again, a problem because it's a big part of her reign of terror, is that she actually disbands all the clubs and teams, including the Quidditch teams. And even once they get permission to reform, she bans Harry and, I can't remember, one of Fred and George because they get in a physical fight with Malfoy and some Slytherins. So Harry gets banned, and so does Fred and or George, at least one of them. And there's a whole big subplot, and we talked about this before. We get it. Quidditch is not important to the overall thing. But the big subplot is the team has to carry on without Harry, and it's Ginny that takes his place. By the fifth year, Ginny has joined the team, but she's a chaser. But when Harry gets banned, she takes over as Seeker. The other thing, of course, is that Ron, despite his confidence issues, tries out and becomes Keeper. And there's this whole thing about how he has a lot of confidence issues, and the Slytherins mock him, and they have that whole Weasley is our king. I don't remember how well you remember the books, but it's a big thing that they have this made-up song called Weasley is our king that they would sing to make fun of Ron, and he'd screw up and let go of him. And it's a big, important arc for Ron because it's all about how Ron overcomes this by himself. It has nothing to do with Harry, and they win the cup without Harry and with Ron as Keeper. But that's all completely eliminated from the movie. And I don't know. I do think you need it, and I do think it messes up some stuff because you know how we're going to find out about how Hagrid's been away, right? We talked through it, but Hagrid's not around, right? He should be there. He's not because he's on a secret mission as it turned out. He's going to show up about halfway through the year, and he's going to tell his story about going off to the mountains to find the giants, and he's with Madame Maxim from Beauxbatons and how they're trying to recruit the giants, and then there's a whole thing. Okay, so because there is no Hagrid at this point, they shifted some things around where he's just wandering. So a lot of people think this is better. I don't know. See, in the books, this is much later. Hagrid is back, and he's now teaching his class again. And as the subject for one of the classes, he teaches them about Thestrals, and that's how you learn that only certain people, the people that have seen death, can see them. Instead, they've moved this to an earlier scene before Hagrid comes back. So instead what they do is there's just some wild ones, and Harry learns about the Thestrals by talking to Luna. There's good and bad here. Some people think it's better because they say it's better for him and her to have this moment together rather than just have Hagrid teach them. It's a little sort of alone time between them. So I do sort of agree with that, although it's happening a bit too early. I think I would be fine with this scene still happening if it just happened a bit later. But I guess that's not the worst thing. But here's the other plot hole, as people point out. Like, Harry supposedly, after 4 years at Hogwarts, can finally see the Thestrals because he saw death, because he saw Hagrid get killed by Wormtail. But Harry has seen death before that. And I'm not talking about when he's a baby, because people are like, well, if he saw his parents get murdered, he probably couldn't even understand it because he's a baby. Or what was he even looking? If you're a baby in a crib, you're looking up at the ceiling, right? You don't necessarily see what's happening in the room. So I'm not saying that's the plot hole. I'm saying the plot hole is that in Harry's first year, he saw Quirrell die.
Yeah.
Quirrell died right in front of him. Harry does black out, but not until after. He sees Quirrell, I don't know, he falls into pieces. He dies. So that's a big plot hole. In that Harry definitely saw somebody die before Cedric. I'm not talking about as a baby. I'm saying in his first year, he watched Quirrell disintegrate right before his eyes. So
I'm reaching here, but maybe it's a death that means something to you, or at least heartfelt connection.
It's certainly not explained that way in the books, but
no, it's not. Like I said, I'm really reaching, but I try to fill in these gaps in my mind if they can make sense.
Just like it seems like a rather large plot hole once you figure out everything once everything is revealed to the end of the third book. about Scabbers actually being Peter Pettigrew is like, so you're telling me that the twins had the Marauders map for 4 years before they gave it to Harry, or either 3 or 4 years before they gave it to Harry, and during that time they never once noticed that in their tower there was a person named Peter Pettigrew, very close to Ron,
all
and
the time.
People have put that right to rolling, and she's deflected in some ways. One, she would say like, well, there's a lot of names on the map, and remember, they really only take it out to look for places they're going to go. They're not necessarily going to be examining the tower that they're in because they don't care who's there, so they might not notice his name amongst other names. She also said something like, it's feasible, and this is the explanation I like, is that Peter had been a rat for so many years that he'd sort of stopped being a human, so maybe the map wouldn't pick him up. And then when the map starts picking him up again in Harry's 3rd year, it's because he's started doing stuff for Voldemort, and he's actually changed a couple times. Because the whole thing is, he's been undercover for like over a decade as a rat. But when he's no, that doesn't work. No, because he finds Voldemort afterwards. Anyway, one was like, yeah, he'd fallen so much into the rat identity that he wouldn't show up on the map, but it's like, but in Harry's 3rd year, there's his name. So why would it show up again? So I don't know. So here we go, educational degree, blah, blah, blah. And she's becoming the High Inquisitor or something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Some made up.
So, of course, there's no Sorting Hat scene. The Sorting Hat, of course, has a song about being careful during dangerous times.
Those are things I missed in, each movie when it was
I get you can't put... This is the fun of stuff like books. I get why you can't have like this long song in the movie, but it's fun. Like, it's not the best poetry in the world, but it's fun. I like stuff like that. I understand why it's not in the movies. This feels like the first time we're looking at Snape. It's interesting what a small role Snape plays in this movie. Probably smaller. This is probably the smallest role Snape plays in any of the books. Because what does he really do in this? Then again, he doesn't do much in the 4th either, I guess.
The blocking, that's pretty important scene.
Then again, yeah. I guess you're right. Yakumacy is important. So I'd say you're right. He actually plays a bigger role in this than the 4th one. Just filtering up all the things. Sorting Hat's new song. Professor Umbridge. So yeah, obviously that would be after the sorting. Professor Umbridge. Detention with Dolores. So that's our scene with Harry getting the stuff in his hand. See, Percy and Padfoot, obviously not at all in the thing. Here it shows that she's actually, has a problem with his height, too, which is pretty funny. Because one of the things that's played is she's quite xenophobic, she's quite racist. This is good, like her coming after Trelawney and eventually firing her. But the only thing is the movie doesn't have the right follow-up. There is a follow-up to this, in that after she's fired, Dumbledore replaces her with Firenze, which drives Umbridge nuts because she thinks he's a half-breed, half-human, or whatever. And it's disgusting. Because as Dumbledore points out, he's like, well, you do have the ability to fire my teachers, but I'm still allowed to rehire ones or hire new ones.
Yeah.
So that right now they're doing a bunch of montage stuff and zipping through some stuff. Oh, what's up, Joe? So we're going right to her being fired.
It is a great scene still, though.
I know. It's pretty funny hearing Ron refer to her as the old fraud. Yeah, Hogwarts High Inquisitor. In the Hog's Head. Why is that? Oh, yeah, in the Hog's Head. See, the problem was, unlike other books, I did not get it's my own fault. I did have the chance. I was just reading too much other stuff. So I didn't get very far in my read this time. So there's stuff I'm definitely missing. Actually, I can. But yeah, so they go to the trouble of showing this, but then they don't actually show the aftermath, which is kind of annoying. Ooh, let's take a look. Beetlejuice t-shirt.
Oh, yeah. And drinking the butter beer in Diagon Alley.
So that's Diagon Alley. Very nice.
Dude, you were immersed in this world.
That's really cool.
Yeah. There's me Outside the 3 broomsticks, I think.
Yeah, nice. I was just reading about the 3 broomsticks.
Weasleys.
Trying to remember what actually happens in this chapter, chapter 16 in the Hogshead, which is obviously one of the places in Hogsmeade. Because another thing they downplay is like Harry having a disastrous date with Cho, where everything just goes wrong.
I guess
That's some Jurassic Park stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Nice. I got a quick eye. I can pick out Jurassic Park.
It's like I should have saved.
Oh, I remember in the Hogshead. In the Hogshead, I'm stupid. In the Hogshead is where they first have the meeting where the idea is to form the DA. That's what that is, right? They have to go somewhere off grounds to have the meeting about the DA.
Yes.
I'm blabbing a lot here. We're losing the plot. Foul, evil old gargoyle.
It's in a back room or an upstairs room at the Hogshead too. Something.
No, not really. It's just that the Hogshead is usually really empty. That's why they chose it. It's kind of like it's like a wizarding equivalent of like a dive bar, but for some reason you can allow kids in, I guess. But anyway, it's just a really unkempt kind of messy place, and Hermione picked it because it's basically empty. So they basically just fill it up.
What was I thinking? I thought I had like room and board in that.
Oh,
is it
so
sad? Am I maybe combining Lord of the Rings in my head?
Yeah. So I don't mind this so much, but another subplot, of course, is that Hermione and Ron are both now prefects. And that also causes friction with Harry, because Harry feels like he thought he would get one, certainly over Ron. And he thinks, like, is he having some sort of rift with Dumbledore? Like, he doesn't understand why Dumbledore wouldn't trust him enough to make him a prefect. It seems like a weird thing for Harry to care about. And as they pointed out, well, you break the rules a lot. You have a big history of it. And he seems to accept this, but he still has this sort of like a conflict with Ron, where sometimes he does feel like maybe he's more special or better than Ron. All right, so there they are talking to. So how bad is my memory? Does he have a scene like this in the 4th movie? It's in the 4th book. This isn't the first time they've done this, but I don't know if it's in the movie or not. In that he does have a fireplace conversation at least a couple times with Sirius during the 4th book, because he wants advice on various things. Now it's more risky because she starts watching what's known as the Flu Network.
Yep.
So anyway, so here they're coming up with the idea that like we're going to form our own group for teaching Defense Against the Dark Arts, and the obvious choice is you, Harry. So what have we got here? Some more dreams.
This is mad.
Oh, God. Hogsmeade was really amazing too.
Yeah, so they do shift one of the things. Like Harry's very against this at the start in the book. He argues with them. Because every time they talk about the stuff he did, he just talks about how he was lucky or he got help. He brings some of that up a bit later. They move it, which I guess... See, this is right. The way it looks, like it's like a dive. I thought it would be safer somewhere off the beaten track. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. There's a whole thing here where Ron thinks that maybe he could get some fire whiskey. And she's like, you're a prefect, Ron.
Why? Because who's back Tosspot? So he says.
So Dumbledore says. There's Zacharias, so at least they included him, even if he doesn't have much of a role. Because this is also the first book where there's a lot of interaction with people from other houses. Because people from all different houses, not counting Slytherin. There's obviously not a single Slytherin in the group, of course. But this is right. Like Ginny's there, Neville's there, Cho's there. What's her name's there? Luna.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So here they're moving it around a bit, and this is the same thing where. Yeah. So one thing that bothers me is that they've gotten rid of Susan Bones. Susan Bones should be there because she's important.
It all sounds great when you say it like that. The truth is, most of it was just luck. I didn't know what I was doing half the time. I thought we always had help.
Just being modest.
Mine, I've not.
Because she asked him the whole thing about making a She says you can produce a Patronus, a corporeal Patronus. He's like, you don't know Madame Bones, you. She says it's her aunt. It's not her mother. It's her aunt.
Try again tomorrow, but out there, when you're a second away from being heard or watching a friend.
Michael Corner is also there. I don't think he's in the movie.
You never know what that's like.
Well, that's Zacharias Smith. He's the mousy one. I don't know if Colin Creevy's there, but he should be there, and his younger brother. I mean, most of the Gryffindors around his age group are there. You can see the twins are there, plus various Hufflepuffs and Ravenclaws. The most prominent Ravenclaws being Luna and Cho.
Really bad.
They don't seem to have Angelina there. She was actually cut from the movie.
I remember her.
She's the tall black girl Quidditch player. See, there's the Patils again. They're all lining up. Lee Jordan also seems to be absent, despite being prominent in the movies. So that's kind of odd.
That's right.
Because there's also, again, they're not going to talk about Quidditch or anything like that. Because they're just saying, we need to schedule these so they don't interrupt with Quidditch practice. Because Angelina and people are very... Angelina, Cho, and Zacharias are all Quidditch players for Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw. She's like, oh, Cho couldn't keep your eyes off you, Harry. It's going good. Which is in the book. That's how the chapter ends. Getting to our next chapter, Educational Decree number 24, which is just like, I'm going to stop any sort of clubs from being around. She can't prove they're in a club, but, she knows something's going on. The student organizing henceforth will be expelled. Right, so here they have Neville finding the room of requirement. I can't remember. I thought it was Dobby that told him about the room of requirement. Dobby's also cut from the movie. Dobby doesn't play a big role in the book, but he is part of it. In fact, I'm pretty sure he's the one that tells him about the room of requirement. Yeah, I remember now. Dobby once found the room of requirement because, remember, Winky, who had been cut from the fourth one, which drove me insane, Winky became somewhat of an alcoholic, and sometimes he would go to the room of requirement to sober her up so the other house elves didn't see her in such a bad state. That's something I do remember. So I guess it makes sense that they can't have him do that because she's not in the fourth movie. The room of the requirement is also mentioned in the very first book. I don't know if it's in the movie, where Dumbledore just says it in passing to him. That's like he just discovered it once or something. He doesn't use those words. He just says, like, all the times I've been here, but suddenly this room appeared, something like that. Dumbledore often gave subtle hints about Hogwarts to Harry. So now we're at the chapter Dumbledore's Army. We're going to start training. I do like when they're doing the Patronuses. It's too bad they never really get to use theirs. Because as I said, I really like Hermione's, which is an otter. At least they do keep the fact that like Neville becomes like their most improved person. He goes from being completely hopeless to being one of the best.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
They're doing a lot of montages in this movie. There's a lot of montages because they're just trying to make things go quickly. Yeah. Because one of the things is like they're annoyed by Expelliarmus because they're just like, that's a basic spell. He's like, well, I've used it against you-know-who. I will say the Room of Requirement is one of the few locations that does disappoint me. They have it very stark, and it looks like it's all stone. It's not like that in the book. It's much more cozy and comfortable. In fact, it has a lot of pillows and things. I don't particularly like this stark, medieval, I don't know, stone and glass look. I don't like it. That's rare, though, because usually I like how they do most locations. I think they usually nail it or do a good job. I don't like this Room of Requirement. It doesn't look good to me. Yeah, so that's interesting. So they're growing wrong. In the books, the twins are like short and stocky, and Ron is tall and gangly, but you can't control that.
Again, those are things I think that helped me seeing the movie first. So these guys were in my head as I'm reading, even though like Dudley's blonde in the books, isn't he too? I think we brought that up. And
Dudley's probably much fatter in the books. As I said, Rowling loves to fat shame Dudley, so he's probably really fat in the books. Like Dudley can't like walk from like a table to a chair without like her putting like 4 adjectives about how fat he is. His chin's jiggling, or his buttocks wiggling or waggling, or he's like she can be really mean. Like I get it. Like when I see some of the things that she's said in the last few years about certain people, like I get it. Like Rowling is sort of a nasty, petty type of person, but it is weird to see her put it in the books. As I said, it was probably right to not cast Umbridge the way she's described in the books. Although I do enjoy the Umbridge of the books, this large toad-like woman. I do enjoy that. But here they're going for more of a contrast. She's sort of a pleasant, ordinary woman, but she's actually very, nasty.
I love how it's portrayed here. This actress does a brilliant job of making you hate her.
Like I said, I think it's a good change. There's Mrs. Norris. Very pretty cat. Yeah, they use a ton of montages in this movie. Like that's their secret weapon to cutting everything down. It's like montage. Okay, so I don't like this. This is just a invented speech that is not in any way in the book. It just does. I don't think it really fits Harry's personality one bit. Every great wizard started out like it's like if not, why not? Like it's like this big rousing speech. I get why it's there. I don't like it. I don't think it fits Harry's personality. Like one of the things is like Harry does find out that he is good at teaching, and he actually gets a lot of satisfaction out of it. But I don't really think they're showing it the right way there. I feel like it's gotten so much louder. Ginny's the breakout star of the DA. Again, I don't think they really do enough of that in the movie. But while the most improved is Neville, going from hopeless to quite competent, the one who is the most talented is Ginny. Now we come to the awkward kiss scene. This is more or less right. Where Cho manages to stay a bit late after class to talk to teacher. And they have their little awkward moment. As I said, I do agree with the way the relationship's handled for the most part, and that, like, again, I don't think it's really realistic to have like the first person you ever dated turn out to be your true love or who you get married to or whatever like that. So I don't mind that his relationship with Cho falls apart, but it is sort of frustrating the way Harry lets it fall apart. Because he could have done more. I mean, I get it. I've certainly made mistakes even when I was much older than that in relationships, but I don't know. Harry's just so passive. Like, he finally gets the girl he wants, and then when things aren't going well, he's not willing to understand her or try anything. He's just like, and they don't even like break up, right? They don't have a breakup scene. They just drift, and it's just sort of over.
I honestly get that, though. I kind of feel this age group, I think he got what he wanted and then realized kind of, oh, okay, he lost interest really quick.
I know, but it does make him look like a jerk because she's dealing with a bunch of conflicting emotions, as Hermione points out. Like, she really likes Harry. She's tried her hard, but she did date Cedric less than a year ago, and now Cedric's fucking dead.
Yeah.
That's a lot for anybody to deal with, let alone a teenager. It's like my first boyfriend died, and this guy was with him, and I like him too. And is that wrong? You know, like Joe is a deep character. I can't believe people have. I like the actress very much. People have actually criticized her. I don't know why.
Huh. I wouldn't
So
know
then
why
I
either. I think she's
Let me get a picture.
very good. in
Some
real life.
people way back when said she wasn't pretty enough. Like, what a weird thing to focus on. Like, she looks pretty to me. I don't know. But yeah, it's another thing. It's like when I was talking about the Harry Potter Scott Pilgrim thing. It's like I like both guys, particularly Scott Pilgrim, but in both situations, like I would have stayed with the Asian girl. It's always about dumping the Asian girl for the white girl. It's like I went the other route in my own life. In the books, it's not specified, but as I said, sometimes they've got characters like Wood or her are both Scottish because the actors themselves are Scottish. They're not specified to be Scottish in the book, but that doesn't really matter. You know, Hogwarts is for people from all over the UK. In fact, it's kind of I don't really understand Luna's accent. Like, do you? Luna doesn't sound like anybody else in the entire series. Nobody has the accent Luna has. Nobody. I am not an expert on like the various British and UK types of accents. Like I can discern some of them, but you know, I don't live there. I don't watch that stuff, you know, so I can't really tell. But I know that Luna's is not like anyone else's. There isn't a single character in the entire series that has Luna's accent. Not even her own damn father.
Father, yeah. But if there's one character, I guess, that can get away with it, it would be Luna.
Well, maybe that's part of it because she's supposed to be like a weirdo and different. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know enough about the actress or anything. Yeah. So, I mean, this is good, and this is pretty close to the same where, you know, Ron is being dumb, and this one is right. Like you know how I often say, like, it's annoying how they dumb down Ron to make Hermione look. This one is accurate. That's the whole point, right? Ron's a typical guy. He doesn't get this emotion, relationship stuff, and Hermione's a girl is going to set them straight on all that. You know, that is like in the book, and I think that is good. If one person can feel all that, they'd explode. Just gets to the emotional range of a teaspoon. The Lion and the Serpent is next. What's the Lion and the Serpent? But yeah. It's too bad because this is the happiest Harry's been in all year, and now it's all going to get ruined.
Maybe after something he didn't have last time.
Also, I don't think they showed him using the Marauders map for the DA meetings, although of course he always did, right? That was really important. He always had to check the Marauders map to make sure it was safe. I don't think they have.
I don't think they have.
Which again, I think has something to do with probably budget. You know, it's a special effect that they're like, we can skip that.
Professor, will you please just tell me what's happening?
Yeah, the Lion and the Serpent is an entire thing about a Quidditch match. I don't know. I get that the Quidditch stuff is not important to the central plot, but I really miss it. I miss the whole Ron's arc of being like tormented by the Slytherins and rising to the occasion. And the best part is like his whole crowning achievement. I said, you know, they win the championship without Harry. Harry doesn't even watch it because that's when Harry finds out about Grop. It's during the Quidditch final that Hagrid takes Hermione and Harry into the woods to meet Grop. Ron's not there, but in this, there's no Quidditch final going on, so Ron's with them, which really throws me off. I don't like Ron present for that scene. But I get it. If you don't have him at a match, there's no reason not to include him. All right, so this is where he's going to tell him about the occlumency. This is where things like any savvy reader is just like, okay, I can already see the problem with this, and Harry's going to, you know, bumble right into it. But this seems like a massive... This is another reason to absolutely hate Snape again. I'm going to go back onto Snape's not a good guy. Snape wrecks everything. Snape is the most responsible person for why everything gets ruined in the end. You can blame Harry, but remember, Harry's still just a teenager. He's still a minor, for God's sakes. Really, if you want to blame anybody for what happens, it's Snape's fault. Snape cannot teach Harry without being completely horrible to him. He basically tortures him. And then when Harry accidentally sees Snape's memories, he doesn't mean to, accidentally, Snape is so furious that he says, you get out, I'll never teach you occlumency again. So Snape, the responsible adult, who's been given a really important task by Dumbledore, he knows how important it is. It's keeping Voldemort out of your mind. Snape is so pissed at Harry for seeing that side of him by accident that he says no. So really, Snape is, again, pretty much directly responsible for what happens. And I do think that gets played up later books, another reason why he hates him, because it's part of the reason why Sirius winds up dying. But the movies, again, I don't think take enough advantage of it. I mean, we see it, but I don't think it's reflected on enough. But it's another reason why, like, people like to stick up for Snape and talk, like, I can't stick up for the guy. He's a complete fuck-up. Look what he's doing. He knows how important it is. It's life and death. It's fucking Voldemort. But he's like, no, I hate this guy. I hated his dad. Oh, he saw embarrassing memories. No more. Like, what a fucking pussy. So he's not brave. Like, people say he's brave. He's not brave. He's actually a big coward. And it's hilarious when Harry screams at him in the 6th book about how he's a coward, and it drives Snape crazy. I think it drives Snape crazy because he knows he's a coward. Okay, now we're at the biggest omission of all. We have jumped over tons of stuff now. Just gone. The biggest being visiting his father at St. Mungo's during Christmas. All that's gone. No more Christmas on the closed ward. No finding out about Neville's parents. No meeting with Lockhart and finding out about how he's doing. Now, the Lockhart part you don't necessarily need, but you do need the Neville stuff, and they just jumped over it entirely. It doesn't exist. So now we've gotten to a part where they've really taken a hatchet to the book, because we are missing multiple chapters now. Because let's see here. If the eye of the snake is Harry having the dream, then we go to chapter 22, St. Mungo's Hospital for Magical Maladies and Injuries. There's another chapter at the hospital called Christmas on the Closed Ward. And then after that, we jump into occlumency. So actually, because that's another thing, they have him start occlumency immediately. That's not true. He starts it after he gets back from Christmas. So that's, again, a weird one. Why would they do that? It doesn't fix anything or make anything more clear. And here's another scene that was moved. See, he's going to find, like, this actually happens back in the summer. So these are weird ones, because, I mean, if you're going to cut stuff or for time or whatever, but these are just moved. And I don't know. I don't think it flows well. I don't think it tells I don't think it does it well. Like, we should have established this stuff about Creature and Sirius's family early on. We shouldn't be finding it about halfway through the school year. But anyway, as much as blame I want to put on Snape, there is blame to put on Sirius. A big part of the problem of this what happens in the book and the movie is that Sirius, despite being warned by Dumbledore to be kinder to Creature, Sirius has such bad memories of his childhood, and Creature keeps reminding him of it, that he can't treat Creature well. And a Creature, of course, I don't know if it's important in the movie, but it's very important in the book that Creature is actually able to lie to Harry to help convince him that he has to go to the Ministry, right? Because when he actually called, he was, of course, at home. Creature managed to lie to Harry and say, Master is not at home, making him think, and then he laughs, making him think that, oh, he is in trouble. I don't know if that's in the movie. I guess we're going to find out. It's been a while since I've seen the movie. But so there are definitely things you can blame Sirius for, too, because Sirius should have been able to be more mature and understanding and kind to Creature. Although I don't know. I don't know if that would really work. Would that really stop Creature from anything? Creature's decades of slavery, and like, they don't play it up enough in the movie, like how much he's in love with Sirius's mother. And by in love, I don't mean like romantic love, but he's just very devoted. They don't have it at all in the movie. I think that's a big mistake too, is that there's this big portrait of Sirius's mother, or maybe it's grandmother or something, who's screaming at people all the time, calling them mudbloods. And the whole thing has an unsticking charm, so they can't just take it down. And even though they cover it up all the time, Creature's constantly uncovering it, and he's taking orders from it, even though it's gone insane. I feel like you're really missing a lot by taking that out. I feel like they're rushing too much with Creature here to really understand what his mindset is, where his loyalties lie, what his, psyche is at this point. None of that's in the movie. All we know is he's an old house elf that's kind of mean. Also, I do think there is a little bit, at least a small mention of his brother Regulus, who they pretty much erase entirely from the movies. Like, they do point out that RB, the person known as RB, had stolen one of the Horcruxes and tried to destroy it, but it was a fake or whatever. But I don't even think they make the connection. They don't actually mention. Yeah, well, I just mean because they never actually bother to say who RB is. It's Regulus Black.
Yeah.
Because as he says, the world isn't just split into good people and Death Eaters. He would know better than others. He had a brother who was a Death Eater, but it turned out his brother wasn't actually much of a Death Eater and actually wound up turning on them, sacrificing his own life in the process. But yeah, they show his portrait being blasted out, but his wasn't the only one. Tonks is there too. Tonks is his cousin. As I said, he's cousins with Tonks. He's cousins with Bellatrix, which means he's also related to the Malfoys. That's through marriage. But yeah, things are good. He's back at school, and he and Cho are dating. Oh, it's awesome. Thanks, Dan. It's good to be back. I never meant to be away this long. Some stuff happened, but yeah, I'm glad that Jess was able to do this, and we can get going, because we still have a few more of these to do. But yeah, we'll definitely have to do something with you coming up soon too. I'll figure out a good project for Dan.
Shout out, Dan.
So see, this timing is weird because this timing is weird because it actually showed Harry in a good mood with Cho, but he returns sooner than this, and the whole point is like things are really bad and he's upset about a lot of things. And and Hermione's like, I can cheer you up. He's like, there's no way you can cheer me up, Hermione. He's just like, oh yeah, Hagrid's back. They've moved Hagrid's return here, which is why they had to have the earlier scene with the Thestrals. Which again, I get why people like that scene with the Thestrals, that scene with Luna. I do get that. That is pretty cool. But I don't know. It feels like they just couldn't fit Hagrid in, so they just had to stick him in much later. They don't even have him teaching classes. But at least we get an abbreviated version of his story where he was trying to recruit the Giants or talk to the Giants. Let's look at because story-wise, if we were following the chronology of the book, where will we be at? See, we should be at chapter 24, Occlumency, but instead they moved where the Occlumency was. So we should be at chapter 24, Occlumency, but what they've done here is they've taken... Is there a list of chapters here? Because that would really help me out.
Hey, Chris from Slasher Home Video, buddy.
Fucking fuck. Padfoot. Yeah, no Percy and Padfoot. That's completely wrong. What's happening here? Oh, is this the breakout? Okay, here's another massive problem that I have. I hate Helena Bonham Carter as Bellatrix Lestrange. If you want to talk about where they just threw the character description and what they're like, and I don't just mean physically, I mean everything. This is just a completely different Bellatrix Lestrange. Just has nothing to do with the character from the book, except that she's a bad guy. And I don't know if that's, again, was that Helena Bonham Carter's idea? Was that the casting person's idea? Was that director's idea? Was that the screenwriter's idea? I don't know, but it's fucking terrible. I think it might be the worst casting in the entire series. It's god awful. And it's not just casting, like I said, it's writing. Why is Helena Bonham Carter playing Bellatrix Lestrange as some sort of like unhinged, giggling lunatic? She's almost the exact opposite of that. Like, I get making tweaks to characters, but this is just saying, fuck that, let's do the opposite. Like, I don't even know how Rowling would have allowed it if maybe she didn't have any sway. I just think it's terrible. Do you like it? Like, I like Helena Bonham Carter. She's a cool actress. But I hate Bellatrix Lestrange. I hate it.
I thought it was fun.
I hate it. I loathe it. Like, you're not going to hear me talk about stuff I hate too much in these movies. Like the movies, they make things that annoy me, but I don't usually hate things. I hate her Bellatrix Lestrange. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate her stupid dialogue. I hate her delivery. I hate her giggling. I hate her acting like she's just brimming with madness. Like, she's nothing like that. It just sucks.
Again, that's probably a thing to where seeing her play it first before reading the character helped me a lot, maybe my opinion.
And I mean, again, like, you wonder how that worked. Like, there's Neville's parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, this is a move. Like, Neville doesn't tell him because he wants to. Neville tells him because he had to, because he bumbled into it. And then what happens is, and that's even before the hospital thing. He finds this out much earlier. Maybe it's in the fourth book he finds it out, I think. Anyway, I think it's the fourth book he actually finds it out. He finds it out by accident. And then Ron and Hermione accidentally find out too, because they see him visiting his parents at St. Mungo's. That's what Hospital on the Closed Ward is. His parents are alive. They're in the hospital, but, their minds are gone. It's really upsetting. And, Neville and his grandmother come and visit them, even though it's really, sad and upsetting. Oh, here we go. I like this a lot. Yeah. Yeah. So it looks like Ginny's is a horse. Yeah, they're doing there's the otter. I love him. I wish you got to use it at some point. I really love that Patronus.
This is really advanced stuff, guys. Doing so well.
Ron seems to have a dog of some sort. We've got a hare for... I think these line up to what's in the book. I know the otter does for sure. I'm not sure. I think these do correspond to what they're saying in the book. I don't know how many describe in the book, but Hermione's absolutely is. But it's all going to come crashing down. But yeah, I don't like this change because, again, they're trying to show this not Cho's fault. Like, they're trying to show that Harry broke up with Cho because Cho betrayed them. And then he found out after the fact it wasn't Cho's fault, and that, she was given veracitum or whatever and gave it against her will. But that's not what happens. What happens is she has a friend who never wanted to be there in the first place, and the friend rats them out. And Hermione and Ron and people are angry at Cho, even though it wasn't Cho who did it, just for bringing somebody that betrayed them. But they completely eliminated the character from the movie, which I get they're trying to simplify, but it makes Cho look worse. Yeah, see, they've got Cho there, which is weird. Get them.
I will say my son, we finally did watch them all, the movies, together with my son since we last did the fourth movie commentary. He enjoyed them. Yeah.
So chapter 25, The Beetle at Bay, is cut completely. That's one I don't mind. That's the Beetle, of course, is the unregistered animagus, the annoying reporter Rita Skeeter that you remember from the fourth book and movie. She is in the movie. In that, in one thing that they've really downplayed, even though they show a little bit, they do show that people think Harry's a liar, is that they're constantly referring to Harry, even in stories that have nothing to do with him in the Daily Prophet. They'll just bring up Harry Potter just to dunk on him and call him a liar. If something's fantastic or unbelievable, they might mention Harry. And it's this whole campaign to slander him. So Hermione at one point forces Rita, who she can blackmail, because again, she knows that Rita is an unregistered animagi and she can turn her in. She blackmails and forces Rita to write a true story, give a real interview to Harry, so he can give a real account of what happened in the graveyard. That's one of the reasons why a lot of the members of the DA believe him and other people come around, is even though they have to publish it in this, where the Luna angle comes in. Remember, Luna's father is the publisher of like a smaller wizarding publication, and they published that article about what really happened. So even though they've got a smaller readership and everything, and now it helps Harry's cause a bit, and that he's actually able to get the true story out. Some people are never going to believe him; they doubt him, but it helps. So I mean, I get why that's cut, but again, you're kind of missing stuff about some of the outside pressures he's dealing with, and also showing. I also just like that side of Hermione. I love that Hermione blackmails this woman into doing what she wants. I like that. I think it would have been cool to have in the movie, to see Hermione take charge like that and outsmart an adult. That's totally her character, and would work in the movies too. It seems a shame that couldn't be included. But yeah, that's why it's called The Beetle at Bay, because remember, she would spy on people as a beetle. That's how she was able to be privy to secret conversations and stuff. So if we skip over to that, we get to chapter 26, Seen and Unforeseen, where they start mentioning the thing. Harry Potter speaks out at last, the truth about he who must not be named in the night I saw him return. Yeah, that's in the Quibbler, right? They do mention the Quibbler in the movies. They often show Luna reading it, sometimes upside down. Yeah, another thing that's sort of missing here is that so they're in their 5th year. They have special exams, right? There's owls and there's newts. Yeah. The owls and the newts. So they've got owls. So they are going to show the exit here, the glorious exit of the Weasley twins, but it's much more elaborate and satisfying in the book. Like, they do a lot more cool stuff. They put a swamp in one of the hallways. They do a lot more than just set off some fireworks. Plus, they had better reason to leave in the book, for instance, because by this point, both have been banned from the Quidditch team and stuff, so they have all sorts of good reasons. See, he just walks past shit. Like, that's what I would call manufactured conflict. Again, I understand the problem with that term. It's fiction. It's all manufactured. But I don't like that. He just walks past Cho thinking she's a betrayer. That never happened, and Harry never thought that. I get it. They're trying to come up with a more clear reason why. Like, I get it. I get it. People are like, you can't have it both ways, Cole. You're whining that Harry let his relationship fall apart, and now you're upset that the movie gives a more clear reason for him to dump her. I get it. I'm difficult to please, but they have a lot of conversations in this thing ever since he and Lupin started talking there in the 3rd movie. I think you got to give Alfonso Cuarón reason for that. Okay, yeah. See, this is completely different. This actually happens during the Quidditch Cup final. Again, Harry can't play. Harry's been banned. Hermione's with him. Ron is in goal. It's the final. It's against Slytherin. It's for all the marbles. Total. Everybody in the school is down on the pitch watching. That's when Hagrid shows up and takes Harry and Hermione away so that nobody will notice they're gone. So this is very, very different. Not just the circumstances, but also that Ron's with them. But if you're going to do it this way, you can't think of a reason not to include Ron. And again, people are like, aren't you always whining that they're not giving Ron enough to do or say? Well, now we're putting him in a scene he wasn't in. Okay, fine, I guess. It just doesn't really add anything. But yeah, so we jump over the centaur and the sneak because that doesn't happen in the movie. There's no Firenze. And the whole sneak thing has been, which is Cho's betrayer friend, has been eliminated. So that chapter does not have any bearing on the movie whatsoever. And again, they're moving things around because they're meeting Grop before Snape banishes Harry. But that's not what happens. Snape banishes Harry before they meet Grop. That chapter being Snape's worst memory. which again I think is a thing that I get they can't do the whole thing, but they cut it down to a few seconds. It's actually a pretty long sequence. That there's a really long scene of it, which I like very much. It's some of my favorite stuff about the storytelling, and to have it reduced to a few seconds bugs the hell out of me. I wanted a proper flashback of Harry seeing his father and his friends hanging out at Hogwarts, picking on Snape. Instead, they just cut it down to like what, a couple seconds? Like it's a whole scene, it's a whole thing. Harry, like it's almost like being in the Pontiev. Like Harry is physically there. He's at Hogwarts, 20 years ago or whatever. He's seeing all this stuff happen in front of him. And this is just some quick flash in his mind, which I do not like. Yeah. I don't think that adds very much, having Ron yelling at Grop, but I guess if he's there, that is what he would do, theoretically. There's also, from Snape's worst memory, chapter 29 is careers advice, which again is completely cut, and then it's Grop. So if we're talking, there's entire chapters that have been cut. There's at least 6 or 7. That is a lot, man. I mean, I get this is the longest book, but still, it's kind of amazing. Like, I can't imagine what it must have been like to watch this movie and then at a later date read the book for the first time.
It's a trip, but again, to me, it just more fills in the gaps more than it does like irritate me going, oh, why wasn't this in the movie?
I think this is the movie that, it really hurts it. I think there's big gaps in the story. I think there's big problems with character arcs. I think there's big problems with the narrative flow. Because like I said, it's one thing to cut stuff. Other stuff they've just rearranged and moved around, and it serves no purpose.
Well, like I already said, I noticed that before reading the book coming out of this movie, that it just felt like there was a lot of missing pieces, more so.
They tried to do what they could with all those montages, but they just kind of muddy things, really.
And maybe even that's why I felt that way, too, that it was like, oh, there should have been more to that.
I will say that when I'm reading the book, like I felt like it was building towards something. I don't feel like watching the movie feels like it's building towards anything. Like, we're 3/4 of the way through, and I don't know, if you're watching the first time, do you have any idea where it's going? The faintest notion? Like, I don't think so. And again, I'm not saying movies should be predictable. I don't mean that at all. I just mean it feels like every new scene introducing new information is more jarring than...
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't dislike any of the movies, but this is the closest one to disliking for me. I was hoping after, it's been a few years since I watched it again, but all it's doing is bothering me.
I can tell.
All it's doing is bothering me. Now, this is played perfectly fine. This is just me being annoyed with the character of Snape. See, another fucking montage. I don't want a montage. I want him to go live the scene. Montage. See, all we see, we see a few seconds of his dad being a dick. That's not enough. It's not enough. Over. How long was that? Like 20 seconds?
Yeah, that's pretty quick.
That's like half a chapter in the book. But this is not get out. Your lessons are at an end. So this is a criticism of the overall story, not the movie specifically. This is one of the reasons why I just don't understand people that stick up for Snape or think he's some sort of hero or good guy. Like, he just did the worst possible thing he could have done. He just not only put Harry in tremendous danger, but a whole bunch of other people in tremendous danger. And it's not like he doesn't know that. He does know that. Snape is not fucking stupid. He knows the stakes. He knows what's going on. And he doesn't care because he's so emotionally insecure and retarded. Emotionally retarded. I'm not using the slur. I'm talking about emotionally retarded. So here's a little good thing. It's like, it's time for us to leave this school in style, I guess. Wow, they are really tall. They just tower over here. Now, this timing is okay because reflects the book more or less. Is like every time things get really negative, there's some other thing to come up to be a little nice. So this is it, right? Things are really bad. You just got, So here's something to make us feel better. The twins are going to leave in style, and they're really going to fuck things up for poor old Umbridge. That would be the chapter Owls. And again, I get you can't include everything, so this is not a criticism, but it is nice in the book that you really get a lead up to this, like that the students of the fifth years are feeling a lot of academic pressure, period, just because owls are very stressful. I understand why you don't need that in the movie. The movie has enough stuff going on, but it's just something I can appreciate. It does make stuff happen better.
Well, it definitely is deeper as far as like this is your standard wizard education level that if you're going to basically get a job anywhere,
yeah,
you got to get fifth year. And then newts are your like extra,
I don't know, SATs, I don't know.
Yeah. If you're going to a higher level.
I was always jealous of Americans because they get to take the SATs.
I don't know if I'd be jealous of that, sir.
I don't know. I just wanted to know what they were like. I was a good student. I was good at tests and exams and things. The SAT sounded like a challenge I would have enjoyed. But we don't have that. But they're very prominent in pop culture, right? That's why I know that they're shows and movies.
Mainly
it
if
seemed
you're
like
a big school right away, because if you're going to a smaller college or something, they're going to look at your degree and your grades there and your GPA. They're not going to worry about a high school SATs or.
Well, I mean,
your
when I was in high school, my full course load wasn't this, but about half my courses were under something called IB, which is the International Baccalaureate. And that's exactly what it sounds like. It's international. It's in multiple countries, including the U.S. There are plenty of high schools in the U.S. that offer it. And they're considered whatever the highest you can do in high school is. Like a lot of places have like honors, honors this, honors that. This is considered a level above that. And sort of the best thing you can do in high school to prepare for college and stuff. And I took about 4 IB courses through that: English, history, French, and something else. Because I knew where my things lie. Like I could have done IB math, but I didn't like math, and I wasn't going to continue with math. I didn't do math or science or biology IB. I wasn't going to torture myself. So I did the subjects I was good at and stuff. And there are special exams for those. So maybe those are similar to SATs. I don't know. They're weird, though, because they're special exams. They're marked out of 7. The highest you can get is 7. If you get a 5, that's pretty good. So 5, 6, 7, that's what you want to get there. I got a 7 in my English. So that's always been a point of pride, although it's pretty much meaningless now. But I always thought that was maybe similar. And they are stressful and they're interesting too, because they're not marked by like your teachers. You go in your classroom, your teacher gives you the exam. Your teacher did not set the exam. Your teacher's not going to look at your exam. This was made by the international committee, blah, blah, blah. And then they're going to mail it off to them. And some person in Switzerland is going to grade you, So it's very stressful on that level because there's something very alien about them, I guess, in that, the people that made the test, the people that are going to grade the test, they've never met you, seen you. It has, it's a very impersonal kind of scary thing. So there was a certain amount of stress that came with those IB exams that I did in grade 12. So maybe that's comparable to the SATs. I don't know. I only got a 5 in French. That bothered me. I got a 5 in French, a 6 in history, a 7 in English. I skipped a lot of French classes in grade 12, I have to say. I got in trouble with my teacher because she knew I was skipping classes, but I was just, I don't know. I don't know. All right, so I've talked, they've had their dramatic exit, and now Harry is certain that Sirius is being tortured at the Ministry by Voldemort. And nobody can talk him out of it. And that's more or less what happens in the book, too. Like, So here's the same thing that I mentioned before when I was complaining again about my favorite movie, which is the third. And I said how they really dropped the ball by missing some important exposition, right? About the Marauders and Snape's history with them and the Shrieking Jack and the werewolf situation and all that stuff. And that also leads into the whole nickname thing. So this is something that makes zero sense. If you never read the books, you've only watched the movies, I don't care. You watch all 4 movies back to back right before this one. So you have them as fresh in your mind as you possibly could be before you watch this movie. This scene would still baffle you because you'd be like, what is he? Because Harry realizes, oh, wait a minute. Snape is actually one of the people in the Order. He's got Padfoot. He's got Padfoot in the place where it's hidden. Padfoot has never come up before. Yes, we saw it. Like we did see it for 2 seconds in the flashback where someone's like, yeah, get him, Padfoot. But I don't know if you could really put that together. The scene goes by like that. You're not even sure who's talking to who, right? But it's very clear if you read the third book that they all have their nicknames. Prongs, Padfoot, Moony, and Wormtail. But that's not made clear at all in the movies, although you do have Voldemort referring to Scabbers or Peter Pettigrew as Wormtail later on, but that almost sounds like it's just a nickname that Voldemort made up, but it's not. It's his school nickname. When I say school nickname, it was only between them. It was a secret, right? They were secret animagi. So that seems like very sloppy writing. That yes, technically we did have a scene a few minutes ago where the name Padfoot comes up, but I think it would be very difficult for somebody who hadn't read the books to understand that context and then have him talk about Padfoot here. It's not made clear at all. So that seems like a really huge mistake. As we know, this did work. Like Snape, dick that he was, did understand what he meant. When he's talking about Padfoot, he's talking about a place where it's hidden, the Department of Mysteries. This is pretty funny. I mean, that's why she's such a hateable villain, right? Like, it's like, wow, she's going to go get, like, gang raped by a bunch of centaurs. And everyone's like, good for her. We hate her so much, we don't care. Like, again, this isn't set up too well, except that when they're going to the forest, we get 2 seconds of them running by, and Hagrid saying, oh, they're all riled up. Yeah, they're riled up because Rop is there. I still think this would have played better if Firenze was actually in the movie. It'd be a little more satisfying, because the whole point is, once Firenze gets hired, she, like, flips out. Although I will say, speaking of things they cut that are probably better, is that speaking of racism and xenophobia, Hermione, of all people, is ridiculously racist towards Firenze. It's so weird and out of character and off-putting. I'm so glad that that isn't in the movie. Like, you can't believe it. Like, there's a running gag that Firenze is really handsome, and some of the girls, including Lavender and Pavarti, think he's really hot. And Hermione's just like, I'm not really into horses. And she makes all these really mean remarks about him being an animal and stuff. It's like, holy shit, Hermione. I thought you were like the most open-minded, and you were the one like campaigning for the freedom of enslaved house elves. And she's just so like dismissive and racist towards the centaurs. It's amazing. So I'm glad that's not in the movie. But I do think Firenze should have been in the movie, and this would have worked a little better. See here, she's really upset about her attacking the centaur. But book Hermione, I guess, wouldn't care. She doesn't seem to have much respect for centaurs at all.
I must block that out.
Yeah, I wish I could find the line. Because it's very interesting. Again, I get that this isn't needed for the plot, but it is very interesting that how different the class is with Firenze teaching it. Firenze is basically talking about how, well, you know, humans don't really have a gift for this at all. They don't understand anything. And he's also and so it's kind of difficult for Lavender and Pavarti because they both love the Professor Trelawney. And remember, they think she's awesome and amazing and super smart and talented. But at the same time, this guy who they think is so hot is telling them that she doesn't know shit. So it's actually kind of funny. A little bit of conflict for them. So yeah, careers advice, that's too bad. That's the first time Harry talks about perhaps wanting to be an Auror. I don't remember what happens to the Cursed Child. Is he an Auror? I don't know. So this is how they escaped, blah, blah, blah. That was clever, Ron. I'm really surprised. So this is right. This is the group that goes. And this is, some smart tying in, like, how are we going to get there? And once again, it's been mentioned that Thestrals have like a really good sense of direction or something. Because it's just like, we can't teleport there. We don't all have brooms. Brooms are confiscated, blah, blah, blah. And they're saying, yeah, we'll come with you. So it is clever. You're tying into something earlier. Like, how are we going to get to London? We fly, of course, in Luna. So let's see how this is visually shown, because I don't remember this. Okay, yeah, so again, this is wrong. That's kind of weird, isn't it, too? Because one of the things I said about like the third movie is like it seemed like, I guess it was an effects budget thing. They couldn't show all the hippogriffs. So instead of having like 12 hippogriffs, they literally only had one, Buckbeak. But what's funny here is they're actually showing each of them having a thestral, which is strange because in the book they pair up. Because you have to remember, you have to have seen somebody die to see a thestral. So the whole idea is that Harry's with Hermione, so that because Hermione can't see the damn thing. I think Luna's with Ron and Neville's with Ginny or something like that. Anyway, they pair up because each of Harry, Neville, and Luna can all see the thestral, so they're paired up with somebody that can't, right? So that they actually know where to hang on and what they're doing, and so it won't feel too bad. This just has them all on the thestrals like it's no problem. But it would be a huge problem. Can you imagine flying on something you can't even see the damn thing? And here's where it probably hurts the most, honestly, is that the book is pretty good. It's one of the better books in the series, I think. The whole end part is probably some of the best writing that Rowling has done, insofar as there are several chapters for the end, the denouement here, the climax. And it's so rushed here, and that really bothers me because it's actually very exciting. It's very suspenseful. It's exciting. They get chased through these rooms. Ron gets attacked by a brain that like almost lobotomizes him. All sorts of crazy stuff happens. They get chased. In this, it's just rush, and we're through it. But literally, all the stuff at the Ministry takes place over like at least 3 or 4 chapters, and it's really condensed. And it's really too bad. Because I think at this point in the theater, as annoyed as I was by stuff that was cutting, I still probably thought, because again, we're only a little over 2 hours past the 2-hour mark here, I really did think we were getting a really long whole sequence here, and it's just very short. And that's just disappointing.
You should be here.
Like, it's some of the most satisfying reading I've done in the series. Is these last few chapters. They're very well done. They're very suspenseful. There's a long chase. They get split up into different groups. They're chased through various rooms. There's sort of artifacts. Here, they're just in the Hall of Mysteries, and that's kind of it. But it's much more elaborate and cool and interesting in the thing.
My friend Lindsay, who I mentioned going to a couple of these with, that he was a big fan of the books, like you. And that was one of the big things he mentioned about this one too, that the whole ending up to the duel
once again, the mystery
was much more in the books, elaborate.
It's very satisfying in the books.
Yeah.
I think it's some of the best stuff in the entire series. It's very suspenseful. It's very, it's very page-turning stuff. Yeah. It's really interesting. It's fast-paced. It's got creativity in it because there's various rooms that have stuff in them. Like I said, Ron gets attacked by a disembodied brain. It's crazy. There's all sorts of stuff. They get very badly injured. Like Hermione gets Hermione, Ginny, and Neville all get severely injured. They really downplay the injuries in this. I mean, I like how the Death Eaters look. I like their masks and everything.
Yeah. It's still a cool scene, but like he said, he was so looking forward from what he read in the books, and it didn't come close to that, I guess.
No, it really doesn't. And I think that's what it said. Like, all the whining and complaining I just did, I think I could have lived with most of that. This is what makes it unforgivable for me. And her. I hate her. Fuck, it's awful. Like, I'm not saying that, like, she's an amazing character or anything, but she was a pretty satisfying character. And in the movies, she's a joke. Like, I can't believe, like, she's just a joke. This whole thing about prophecy. Oh. See, look, she's all unhinged, and I hate it. It's like the complete opposite. Like I get like being an actor and saying, well, the character's written this way, maybe I'll tweak it, maybe I'll try it this way, a little different. But I mean, did Helena Bonham Carter like literally read it and go, no, just the complete opposite, like as far as possible? From like, did she hate it? Like, I don't know. It's weird. That's what I mean. To get that far, it would just have to be deliberate. It wouldn't just be something that just happened naturally or organically. It has to be a very, very deliberate choice. And I guess that's what bothers me too. Whether it was her or like I said, I don't know who's responsible, but somebody in there made a very deliberate choice that they really didn't like book Bellatrix and that it had to go. And that bothers me because, I mean, I thought she was pretty good. She was sort of menacing and creepy and dangerous. Here, she's just a joke. I can wait a bit longer. Yeah. This is a weird thing about, like, the only people that can handle prophecies are the people the prophecy's actually about. I think the other thing that they don't do in the movies is explain that the prophecy actually applies to Harry and Neville. That it's both of them. And the only reason it came down to being Harry is that Voldemort himself decided it was more likely that it was Harry. I think based possibly on what he knew about Harry's parents. But yeah, this whole chase is just so quick, which is too bad. Because they don't actually leave the Hall of Mysteries. Like in the book, they're in all sorts of different places, in different rooms, and there's all sorts of cool stuff. Oh, there's another thing. This is something that people have debated for ever since it happened in the movies. You see more of it, like what are those Death Eaters doing? What is that? It's like they're flying blurs. Like the whole sixth movie opens like that, right? The sixth movie opens with a bunch of them flying through London and breaking a bridge. Like, I don't know what that is. It's not at all described in the books, and it's not apparating because apparating is like teleporting. They're not on brooms. I don't know what they're doing, and I don't understand how they're doing it. It's something they invented for the movies. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's confusing. Because they never actually say. Like, nobody says something like that the Death Eaters have this special ability. Nobody in the movies does it except for Death Eaters. But they
maybe
never
it
say
is something
like
specific to them. Yeah, that's how I've looked.
I wish they were I just wish they were a little more clear about it. I guess like I don't know what it is, and I don't know if it's something that is just specific to Death Eaters. This is hard too because obviously they don't. Because the other thing is this is not their first time in this room in the book. They were already in here and they already investigated the Arch. Because one thing that they completely change again here, too, is the manner of Sirius's death. See, there's that weird, mysterious arch with voices on the other side. The whole thing is, in the book, in the fight, Sirius is hit by some sort of spell, not a lethal spell, by Bellatrix, and he goes through the arch. And that's what kills him. It's like he's just gone. There's no getting him back. There's no return. The movie makes the very deliberate decision that he gets hit with a killing curse. She says Avada Kedavra. So he's already dead, and then he goes through, which kind of, I guess that means, well, we can't have his body. But, I mean, that's not right.
No, it was the actual art in the book that kills him, yeah.
And I know we talked about this in the fourth one when they introduced the whole idea of the unforgivable curses and the killing curse. Like, I wish they talked, like, they do say something in the thing about how obviously it takes a certain amount of power to do it. The fake Moody says to the classroom, you could all point your wands at me and say Avada Kedavra, but it wouldn't do anything because you're not powerful enough and you don't know the spell and stuff like that. That makes sense, Again, we get it. This is magic. We have to make up our own rules and understanding of things. But that makes sense to us, right? That seems logical. If you're going to do a killing curse, something that just kills with a spell, it takes a certain amount of magical power and knowledge. An untrained kid can't just do it. So, but the other thing is, I wish they went a little further and explained that maybe that means even if you're a powerful Death Eater, you can't just go Avada Kedavra, Avada Kedavra, Avada Kedavra. And obviously, they don't do that. As you see, what the Order's about to arrive for a big fight, and the Order specifically fights with non-lethal spells because they're the good guys. But the Death Eaters are under no such thing. So it's kind of confusing, too, that we watch this sort of prolonged fight, and then just out of nowhere, Sirius is hit by the only killing curse. It's hard to understand. Like, why weren't all the Death Eaters doing Avada Kedavra? Why did she choose that moment to do Avada Kedavra? You know, stuff like that is not explained in the movie or the book. Like, I wish Rowling explained it a little better. Because you'd be like, how come they don't just go Avada Kedavra, spam it, you know, until you can kill whoever you want? Why are they wasting their time with all these other spells? We understand that the Order isn't doing it because the Order are specifically not trying to kill their opponents. But we know the Death Eaters will absolutely kill their opponents. So why don't they just keep using Avada Kedavra? You can, like I said, you can logic it out in your brain again and say, well, you know, I do like that he punches him. I don't think that's in the book. That is satisfying. I do like to see him physically hit him. That's a good moment for Sirius. Okay, so see, they're.
I guess
No,
they are
okay.
kind of, yeah.
They're apparating though, although they shouldn't have all this stuff around them. So
Yeah,
again, that's
smoke
just
dropping
it's visual flair for the movie. Because when you apparate, it doesn't actually create any sort of effect. You just reappear. There's no like lights or smoke or anything. It's not like, say, when Nightcrawler in the X-Men teleports. Every time Nightcrawler teleports, he leaves some smoke and the smell of brimstone. Because Nightcrawler actually, if you want to get all comic book nerdy, and that's who I am, when Nightcrawler teleports, he's actually moving between dimensions. So in that like space of like a fraction of a second, he's in like another dimension, and that's where that smell comes from. And leaving it is why the puff of smoke is. I'll tell you something interesting about that later. It has nothing to do with anything. It's just something I thought of.
The Order is moving around like them.
Yeah. So the Order can do that too. I
Guess
thought
I
it was
never-
only Death Eaters.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah.
Too deep. There it is.
See, look, she hits him with Avada Kedavra, meaning he's already dead. It doesn't matter if he falls or not. But he's alive there because he does have one look. So again, how does Avada Kedavra work? There was a delay because he exchanged a look with Harry. But I will just say, in the book, there is no Avada Kedavra. He's hit by something and it knocks him through the arch and he's just gone.
Well, like you said, they had been there before. They haven't explained the arch here, so the arch was kind of confusing if you hadn't read the books.
I don't know. Because the books don't explain much either. They keep it very vague. It just seems understood. If you go through the arch, there's no coming back.
But yeah, they at least make that clear. And I don't think
so.
It's quite as
So that's
clear
why
as
it's not necessarily. Now I'm not. This is again. This is not a complaint. I've complained about a lot of things. I'm not complaining about her hitting with Avada Kedavra. It just seems like a hat on a hat. She hits him with a killing curse. He's dead, and then he goes through an arch that would kill you anyway. This is a good area. This looks good. But yeah, so we're coming back. This is supposed to be like the main lobby where that fountain that is shown here with the gold. And that's kind of, and I get it, you only have so much of an effects budget, but a big part of this duel is that Dumbledore brings these things to life and they fight Voldemort. It's really cool. It's kind of too bad we don't get to see it in the movie. Also, when Harry gets out of the hearing, even though he's upset about what happened with Dumbledore, he is relieved that he's been cleared and he hasn't been expelled. So he had made a promise earlier coming to the building that if he won, he would donate his money to charity. So he had a bag full of gold galleons and he dumped it all in the fountain because, like, you know, fountains in the normal Muggle world, you know, money put in the fountain gets given to charity. So I don't mind that that's removed. That's just a very tiny thing. But this is very good. Again, 2007. These are nice effects. These are good spell effects. So this part, I don't really have except for the whole thing about the fountain, I don't have issue with this. It's done pretty well. They have, you know, she gets away. Harry is kept out of the fight. It's very big and bombastic. That's all fine. Now we're back. I don't really have complaints anymore, except it would have been cool to see him bring the statue guardians, the fountains statues to life. That would have been cool, but oh well. Okay, so they become obsessed with this whole wands locking thing, and I think that's a big misunderstanding of how it's explained. The only reason wands lock is if it's like what Harry's and Voldemort's are, because they're brother or sister wands, because they are from the same phoenix feathers. That doesn't happen. That's not like a normal thing. Two wizards shooting powerful spells at each other don't lock wands unless they actually have some sort of wand connection. They even do it in later movies too. This is pretty cool with the water. I can't remember beat for beat how the spells are explained. Some of these are from the books, some of these are made up, but they're all pretty cool. Very visually interesting. Oh, this is cool, where he brings all the glass. Shards of glass. I am interested. Well, we'll talk about it later when we do our little wrap up here. I mean, he's an okay Voldemort, but I do think he's a little too physical. He's a little too emotional. He turned it all to sand. There he goes. And Fudge looked right at him, apparently. Where did we cut to Fudge? Because the whole point is Fudge saw it. Oh, because he's not completely gone yet, right? He's doing the possessing Harry. He's doing the possessing Harry thing. So I don't know what they do in the wrap up, but that's one of the things. Why Dumbledore explains to Harry in the wrap up, this is why I kept my distance from you this year, because it would have been dangerous with Voldemort's connection to you for you to be close to me. And then he just says something too. It's not a big deal, but the subplot about Harry not being a prefect, he's just I just thought you were under enough pressure. You probably didn't need to be a prefect too, which of course only just makes sense. This little thing. This is I do like this. This is my favorite thing. This is a channel. I think he's a Canadian guy. His name's Ryan George, and he does he does sketches on YouTube, little things like that. And he does the very famous thing called pitch meeting, where he basically does pitch meetings about movies and sort of explains the plot. It just shows the absurdity of some of the movies. And for the pitch meeting of this part, he's talking about some of the visions that Harry is going to see. He's telling the guy, it's just him himself. He plays both characters, right? He's the writer and he's the guy he's pitching it to. It's just him back and forth. But he says and he's going to see Voldemort and he's going to be in a hoodie. And the guy's going to be like, what? And he's going to be and he's like, isn't it a zip-up hoodie? And the other guy goes, he has no business wearing that. I have no idea why that's so funny, but it just is.
Yeah.
Because I guess it's just that just does not seem like something you would see Voldemort doing. It's just a weird vision, but it is just so funny. It highlights how absurd it is. But it's my favorite line. He goes, he has no business wearing that. There it is. Nice. Oh, there's Jed Cedric. Don't forget Jed Cedric. So even after this, again, they're going to downplay Harry's emotional state. Because remember how I said Harry does a lot of yelling and screaming at his friends that they really take out of the movie? When Harry is back in the office with Dumbledore, he smashes the shit out of the place. And then Dumbledore is just calm. It's just keep breaking stuff that makes you feel better. I'll wait. He doesn't do that in the movie. Again, I think they wanted to have Harry be more likable, but I still think it's a mistake. I like having him be emotional and being a jerk and stuff. There. You're looking right at him, Fudge. What do you think? What are you going to say now, Fudgy?
He's back.
He's back. See, there's Percy.
Yeah.
But you'd have to actually care enough to know that that's Percy. And to understand, the movie doesn't point out at all that, Percy has disconnected himself from his family and blah. Anyway, minister to resign. Yeah, he does. Umbridge suspended pending investigation. It's what? She's alive?
That's kind of how I felt.
Well, she calls them savages, but the fact is, the Centaurs are not savages. So even though they're upset with her, they're not going to kill her. So Harry's just back in his dorm here. Is he going to have a scene in the office?
I can't remember.
I guess we'll find out.
There's a few office scenes in this series, so they run together. Or is it in this room that he comes in, Dumbledore? Nope.
Okay, there in the office. Yeah,
it is.
So see, so this is much more calm and sedate. Because in the movie he doesn't go to like his room or anything. He goes directly to the office, and he's alone for a few minutes before Dumbledore shows up, and he's thinking and reflecting and stuff. But then when Dumbledore does show up, he starts smashing the shit out of the place, and Dumbledore just stays calm. He's just like, "Well, you have every right to be angry with me," blah blah blah.
And see, I think that is a bit out of character though for Harry.
Well, he's mad about Sirius. Sirius was the closest thing they had to real family, and he just got killed.
I mean, if he picked up one thing, like smashed it in his office, I mean, to start destroying things all around his office is kind of, I don't know, too far.
That's the chapter, the law. It makes sense within the context of the book. You're just doing more caps lock yelling.
But here I am saying it's out of character, but it's in the book.
I don't want to talk about how I feel, all right? Harry, suffering like this proves you're still a man. This pain is part of being a human. Then I don't want to be human! All caps. Harry snapped, and there's like, I don't care. I've had enough. I want out. I want it to end. I don't care anymore. I don't.
Pretty good.
You don't know how I feel. You standing there, you let me out. And now he just wants to leave the office, and Dumbledore. Okay, we've already jumped past it, but anyway. But yeah, this is the scene where I truly thought Harry would bond with her a bit more. And I get it, Rowling had another agenda, which is fine. But I always liked the idea of if Harry couldn't be with Hermione, and maybe that is too on the nose, that would have been a good option. People like to ship they're like, oh, Neville and her, they're both the quirky outcasts, but I don't like that.
No, that wouldn't have fit totally either.
No, I very much like the idea of Hermione or Harry dating Luna.
I think we talked about this before. I was fine with the Ron and Hermione, but like you,
I don't like it.
The worst one to me is Harry.
And nobody likes Harry Ginny. And what's funny is it's bad in the books, and it's 100 times worse in the movie.
It's worse in the movies, yeah.
Can't wait to watch the next movie with those awkward fucking scenes. That just
there's no chemistry.
They feel out of there's no chemistry. It feels out of nowhere. It's what's it like? We get it. Years and years ago, we were told she had a bit of a crush on him, but there was no projection of that. They didn't even hang out that much, And then right before that, they tried to point out how independent and popular Ginny was. Ginny was in her own year, and she had her own group of friends and stuff. And she even dated a couple different boys. The whole point was, even though she was, Ron's sister, she wasn't, part of Ron's friend group. She had her own friend group. Now, suddenly in his 6th year, he's just dating her. It's what? Yeah, man, this movie does Cho dirty. He doesn't even have a scene to tell Cho he's sorry or anything. I mean, he doesn't in the book either, but it feels worse in the movie because in the book it's more indirect. In the movie, he's actually thought she betrayed him, then finds out she didn't, and then does nothing about it. Whew. That's a fun ride. So that's the end there. So as the credits roll, I'll just say. Again, I'm not going to repeat myself about my own thoughts about Rowling and supporting things. I will say I haven't made up my mind if I'll watch the damn show. I shouldn't. But I can at least not feel guilty about watching the trailer. So you watched the trailer for the HBO show, the first one? So I'd like to know what you think about it, and if it seems like it's even worth doing, or...
Well, I kind of made a little comment in the chat here.
You'd rather just to see a new story.
Yeah, well... And I haven't read or watched The Cursed Child play. I'd rather go to the play than read the
Nobody likes it.
But I've heard that too, so I'm like, but I still would rather see a movie, like the epilogue in the very last movie has 19 years or 17 years later, whatever it is.
It's 19. I don't know why it's 19, isn't it? It's so close to 20.
It's an odd number, but
I don't know whether... Well, they're not the first person to start it. The great French novel Les Miserables. A big part of the backstory of our main character, Jean Valjean, is that he did hard labor in a prison for 19 years. And he brings it up over again. And in Star Wars, A New Hope starts 19 years after the end of the Clone Wars. Not 20, 19. It's interesting. And here, once again, it's not 20 years later, it's 19. It's almost like it's a recurring theme. Don't do 20, do 19. I don't know. There's probably other examples. But anyway, go ahead.
But all in all, I think it's unnecessary. This whole series is unnecessary because we have 8 great films to tell the story.
Yeah. See,
if you're
I'm
a book
conflicted
fan, maybe you're looking and hoping they go to the books more.
And they're supposed to. And so that's where I'm conflicted. I'm conflicted because as a book fan, I feel like it's 100% necessary that these books would be much better served as like a miniseries or show than movies that have to condense the shit out of things. And on the other hand, I feel like maybe it is beating a dead horse. Maybe it's too soon. And also, you know, I can't in good conscience support it. I can't watch it anyway. So, but I can at least watch a trailer. But I mean, so it's weird. So I'm always going to have that nagging curiosity. It's gonna come out around Christmas, and I will have that nagging curiosity, and I don't want to give into it. But
I mean,
trying to think about this. Okay, but anyway, let's get past the idea of it, but let's think about what's actually shown in the trailer. I'm trying to remember. It's an interesting trailer because it relies so much on, of course, having this built-in fan base. When you think about it, in that like it really relies heavily on everybody already knowing the books or the movies. Because if you think about it, there is nothing in the trailer about Voldemort or even Quirrell. If you see that trailer, it doesn't show any sort of conflict at all. It's just like, Harry's a wizard, he's going to school. Maybe something happens. Like that's all that's really explored in that first trailer, which is pretty funny. Because they get it. They're like, everybody that's going to watch this already knows the story, so we don't need to really do that. There's a lot of stuff. I don't want to touch it too much because I don't know, but there's a lot of racism and stuff about Snape being cast as a black guy. And then some people trying to do a reverse racism thing saying, well, this doesn't work out too well because now we've got like Harry going to the school and being suspicious of the only black teacher and thinking the only black teacher is like a thief and a traitor. I was like, we got to get past stuff like that where it shouldn't matter. Like we can have a villain of another race and not necessarily have it look like it's racist. I don't know. And then there's people that just are genuinely racist that are upset that they think a white character has been made black. I don't know, man. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal that he's black, and I don't. To me,
it's nothing to race.
I feel like
I kind of do only because they describe him as pale, slimy, kind of in the book. You just and we all have again our visions of what the person looks like,
right?
And I think that
I mean, I certainly pictured somebody much younger than Alan Rickman, but besides that, Alan Rickman is carrying the look. He's too old, but besides that, he's got. He's
played it so brilliantly. I think that's my.
So you just think sort of a 30-something-year-old Alan Rickman would have been good. Obviously, he's not available. So anyway, I don't know, man. I wonder, like, if you watch something like that and you say, oh, I don't know, man. Are you supposed to say like Harry Potter is? You're gonna feel like Harry's being racist? Like I feel like you're missing the point there. It's like, oh, Harry's keying in on the only black. The only black teacher. I feel like no, you're keying in.
I'd hope not these days. I just like you said, I hope we're past that. But I've hoped we were past that for most of my life. It's like that's not what I see, but maybe other people do.
Yeah. I mean, I got a good look at the 3 kids. They look fine.
The kids look fine. Honestly, most of the stuff that looks good, it feels like the style that we're watching now. It's.
Yeah, I'm not too sold on Hagrid. He doesn't look that great to me, but
I think he looks like a Temu version of Robbie Coltrane.
He looks too much like an ordinary guy. Like instead of being like a big guy, they focus more on him as sort of being unkempt. I mean, obviously, and they show some of the scenes that show that it's closer to the book because it shows him like on, I think, like the subway or the train or whatever with Harry, which is something he does in the first book. As I said, they really condense some of his time with Hagrid in the first movie. They have him like basically go directly to Hogwarts, but that's not what happens. They actually spend some time Diagon Alley. Then they park. He goes back to the Dursleys, and then he comes back. In the movie, they accelerate it all. They make it all happen at the same time. So obviously, these being longer can take their time, which I like. I don't know. Like I said, I feel like it is. I don't want to say necessary, but it is a good idea in a way. I don't like giving the movie too much credit, I guess, at the end of the day. The movies are the movies. I don't know. I'm a book
Maybe
purist when it comes to so many things.
you need
As I
to
said, it's hard.
watch
It's hard to feel this. It's so hard to feel this conflicted because on one hand, I strongly dislike Rowling as a person anyway, and two, I do have even if I put aside that bias, I have a lot of problems with a lot of her writing. But I feel like when her writing is good, it does need to be acknowledged. And what's funny about that is sometimes when her writing is good, it's completely ignored or shunted aside in the movies. Like I said, sometimes you have characters or people or things happening, and if you think about them, they don't make any sense. But if you read the book, it does make sense because Rowling did actually think of that. You have to give the writer credit for that. And it bothers me to see nonsensical stuff happen in the movies. Like I said, why would Harry and Ron and Hermione just be wandering the corridors in Chamber of Secrets when they're not supposed to be? Well, again, in the book, every time that happens, there's a specific reason. But in the first two movies, they take those contexts away and they just roll around like idiots. Like in the second one, why did they run into the entire school? They don't give the context that they're coming from the Death Day party and that the rest of the school is coming from the Halloween feast. Instead, no context is given. These three are randomly out, and half the school is randomly out, and they come together. And I get that certain audiences don't even think about that, but I always do. I always do. That's how I watch literally everything. I don't care if it's based on a movie or based on something or not. It could be a movie that has no basis, has no, book that it's based on. I need reasons for things to happen.
Watch, they still skip some of this stuff, even though they say they're going more by the books. Because I remember that about the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory remake. And everybody's like, oh, it's going to be closer to the book. It really, a few things, yes, but it really didn't stick close to the book either.
No, it was awful. Man, that's one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I hate that. And I mean, I get it. I'm picking and choosing again because, yes, I realize that Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the movie from the 70s, does make some difference with the book. But I think it's just one of the best adaptations out there. It's a wonderful movie. So I like a lot of the changes. I mean, a lot of it to do with Gene Wilder, right? Gene Wilder's just so incredible.
Brilliant.
But yeah, talk about like getting the character completely wrong. Like Johnny Depp plays him so weird. Like he hates kids and he's weird. Like it's terrible. I've never seen the whole thing, but I've seen enough scenes from it to really.
Yeah, you've seen enough then.
I'm not going to turn this into a thing about Tim Burton, but yeah, I'm not really a fan of most Tim Burton things at all.
Oh. He's hit or miss.
There are some exceptions.
I'm not gonna,
There are some exceptions. I love my favorite by far is Sleepy Hollow. I love Sleepy Hollow. I think that's like a perfect storm of all the things that like Burton does well. Like it all fits, and yet sometimes he tries to shoehorn all those elements that fit really well into everything, and they don't work for everything.
Well, you probably hate my favorite one, but it's Beetlejuice.
I don't hate Beetlejuice at all. I'm just I don't understand why people of like my generation and a little older love it. Like it's a very odd movie with a very
it hit me.
odd plot.
I guess an odd kid. What was I, like 8 years old when it came out, and I saw it in theaters and just fell in love. But I love Michael Keaton.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like I did not grow up with a love for that or Michael Keaton. Like, he's not a good Batman. I'm just going to say it. He's not. Like, why would people think he is? Because I guess they don't know anything about... I get it. Some people grew up, they never read a comic in their fucking life. They saw Michael Keaton's Batman, was like, that's a lot better than, that's a lot better than, what's his name? Adam West. And they're like, yeah, great, a dark adult Batman. I'm like...
But I like that, too.
Dark adult Batman? Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm the wrong person. I've never I like Michael Keaton later in his life because I think he's a good actor. But yeah, there's people basically of my age and a little older that like think of Michael Keaton and the roles he had like the 80s as like
Mr. Mom actor. Was I think big when I was a little kid.
See, I don't get that. I don't think of Michael Keaton as a comedic actor or somebody with any comedic talent whatsoever. I've never found him remotely funny. And Beetlejuice is just an odd character. It was just a weird fad that happened at the time. These fast talking characters. There was him. There was Howie Mandel in the much worse movie, Little Monsters. It's 10 times worse.
I did not like Little Monsters. Yeah,
it's a really shitty movie. Mean spirited too. But I mean, Robin Williams. Imagine Adam Sandler as the genie. Robin Williams is the genie in Aladdin. It's about that's not bad, but again, it's part of that whole fad. This fast talking, doing quick impressions characters that kids are supposed to like. And I feel Beetlejuice was just part of that fad. Like it's fine. I think a long time ago we were talking about because we did the very interesting. It's more interesting the process of it getting made than the movie itself. We did back in our animation series. We did the very interesting Little Nemo movie,
Little
right? We did
Nemo,
Little Nemo's Adventures in Slumberland. And at the time, we had just found out that there was a Netflix original movie based on Little Nemo, much different with a girl Nemo and stuff like that. What's interesting about that is the character of Flip. Remember, Flip's our weird sort of comedic relief, strange, smart. Anyway, he's played by Jason Momoa in that. Now, I don't know if you ever actually got around to watching it.
I think I tried and I just didn't like it.
So Jason Momoa plays it, and obviously it's nothing like in that movie
No.
or the thing. It's a very different thing because obviously it's a big weirdo and Jason Momoa. But it's very clear in watching Jason Momoa do that character that Jason Momoa is one of those people I was talking about. Like he loved Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice. He's very clearly like trying to do his own take on a character like that, and it's not bad or anything, but it just sort of washes over me. But it's yeah, if you know Beetlejuice, it's just like, okay, Jason Momoa obviously really liked Beetlejuice, and this is like a big thing for him that he gets to do a character, and he's going to do it kind of in that vein. It just seems odd, but
I was going to say that might
it's
annoy
worth a
me, even as a fan
Yeah.
of Beetlejuice.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it might, yeah. But I don't know. I don't go over the place too much, but
Yeah.
I need to watch. It's funny. I should have watched the stupid thing today. You know, I watched it. I mean, the trailer, so it'd be more fresh in my mind. But I guess
Yeah, me too. It's been a while.
all the stuff I was doing, I was looking at stuff.
At least.
It just escaped me. So I'm just trying to remember. I just know it's a teaser trailer. It doesn't show much. Things are very quick. You know, it's just
Which
giving us a
rightfully
taste.
so, you know. You just
Of course, yeah.
surprise. If I'm going into something that catches my eye, I'd rather know less about it until I go to sit down and watch the whole thing. Like
Sure.
sequels, give me the title on the screen, maybe a quick clip that the actors are back, and call it a day. I don't want to know anything else about the movie. I'll be there.
Yeah, no. I mean, the worst is like horror movie trailers, right? It's like give everything away.
Yeah, I just watched the movie. Thanks.
You know, I mean, with both horror movies and like all trailers are bad these days because they give stuff away. But it's the worst
Yeah.
with comedies and horror movies because with comedies it's like
All
they're
the
not
funny
usually
stuff.
any good anyway. It's like yeah, here's the best jokes. Like,
Yeah.
see, if you saw anything in that trailer that you thought was funny, made you laugh, that's probably literally the only stuff in the entire movie that'll make you laugh, and you'll know when it's coming. And it's kind of the same thing with the horror movies. Like, it has any actually scary parts that might surprise somebody. Here, we'll just show it here, so you know when it's coming. You know, like it's so annoying. So
I
World
feel
of
like
trailers.
especially with the comedies in the 80s did that with the trailers, and it was like you'd go to a movie and
oh yeah, probably.
oh great, that everything that was funny was all in the trailer, and now this
Yeah.
movie kind of
Even stuff like when they were doing like the Marvel movies, like I feel like probably there was at least some people that were like, let's do our best not to give too much of this shit away, right? And then there were other people that were like, no, it's more important to get butts and seats for this thing, so you have to give everything away. Like just a small example is, you know, they did the latest Captain America movie, you know, has Red Hulk in it, and everybody knew that. Like, wouldn't it have been so much better if they didn't show it in the trailer, didn't
to
put
be
it on the
sitting down
poster?
in the theater.
It would have been
yeah.
it would have been an actual surprise. It's like, holy shit, Harrison Ford is turning into the Red Hulk. But instead, we all went to the knowing. We're like, yeah, okay, Red Hulk's in this. Harrison Ford's the president. He's going to turn into Red. Like, we all know. It would have
There's
been.
no
I'm not saying the
surprise
movie's-
anymore.
I'm not saying whether the movie's good or bad. It's fine. It's not as good as the other Captain America movies, but it's okay. But I mean, it would have been actually cool to be surprised. I'm like, oh man, I didn't know they're going to do Red Hulk. But like, no, we have to show it. You know, I know like the Doomsday trailer just came out, but it didn't leak yet, so I don't know why they're holding it back because people were already doing spoilers about it anyway. So just show it. But anyway, that's for a different discussion.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can finish off here. So yeah, this went about it how I thought it would go. Like the first like half of the movie is mostly good. I feel like the first half, the stuff they cut, I can live with it. But once you get into the second half, it becomes a real issue. And I also feel like the best parts of the book are not done well, because I think the best part is that whole climax at the Ministry, the whole chase scenes and fights with the Death Eaters. It's really suspenseful. It's really well done. It's really cool, and it actually lasts several chapters long. It's not a quick thing. And in the movies, they just sort of zip through it and remove all this stuff, and it's just not satisfying. Because I think to this point, the other four movies all had pretty well done climaxes. They were all more or less lived up to what was in the book. Again, I have problems with the execution of the third, and that, you know, it needed more explanation. But as far as like once you get into the time turner stuff, they even added some stuff that actually helped it out a little bit. I feel like the fifth one's where they dropped the ball. And I get it's the longest book in the series, even longer than the final book. Stuff's going to get cut, but there are entire chapters removed. There were subplots that some you could take out, but others I think actually were really important. Like it sucks to see Ron not really get any sort of arc on his own, to have the Quidditch stuff gone. I get it. Quidditch is not important to the main story, but it is part of the world of Hogwarts. It's something I like.
It's important to the world.
Yeah. So, yeah, I feel like once you get into the second half of the movie, it becomes kind of unforgivable. And I really hate Bellatrix Lestrange. She's supposed to be an important character, and they just, I think I said it many times. I'm just baffled. I have no idea what kind of decision making led to such a drastic change, like really drastic, like extremely different. They don't do that with any other character. Like there's characters where they might have cast a bit differently, like Professor Slughorn, but he was, he's very different physically than the way he's described, but the actor still plays him in the same sort of genial way. He's got the same sort of mannerisms and stuff, even if physically he's very different. And most of the other things are like that too. Even if they might physically be off, they more or less follow the beats of the character. Like they just throw it all out the window for Bellatrix. The only thing they kept is she's bad. That's it. She's a bad guy. Everything else about her is completely different. But anyway, I'm beating a dead horse. I'm repeating myself. Nobody needs to hear it anymore. So we can finish up. I promise, regardless of what happens with Jess or I, we will be back with the next one much sooner than last time. We won't have such a big gap. As I said, that was kind of an unavoidable thing, and we're through it. And fingers crossed, I get it. Stuff can happen. But it is our intention, definitely, to get back to the sixth one much sooner. And maybe even do an animated one, too, at some point. But we'll see how things go.
Hopefully before the year's end, get at least one in this year.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I can definitely make time. We'll figure it out for sure. So anyway, thanks everyone who tuned in. It's always cool, because especially after there's been a long gap, because I didn't let anybody really know when this was happening. So it was nice that people showed up, considering there was not really any notice for it. They just sort of had to find out. So I'm glad people did tune in, even if it was a lot of me doing a litany of complaints. But yeah, I don't dislike any movie in the series. I like every movie. This is just the one I like the least. So it'll be fun to keep going and do the sixth one. So thanks to everyone who tuned in. And yeah, look for the sixth one sometime coming up. Hope definitely not as long. And we'll keep it going. And we've got other stuff on the horizon too. Just, we don't necessarily make an exact firm date for it. This stuff remains fluid. But, it's our intention. So. And not to mention, as I said, just with me being away for so long, I just had an itch. I needed to do something, So it feels good to be able to do something, and that'll just get me going, hopefully independently too. Not that I do a lot of really interesting stuff on my own, but I don't know. Sometimes I feel more ambitious. Sometimes I feel, I don't know. Live commentaries are fun and all. I'd like to do something more ambitious than just a live commentary. So,
we'll look forward to what you got. Yeah. See what you come up with.
Yeah, I don't want to set any expectations either. I don't know.
Surprise.
Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. All right, thanks a lot. I'm dragging out, so we'll end it here. Thanks a lot, everybody, and we'll see you next year, next time for.
Hopefully not next year.
No. Because I was going to say year 6. That's what I meant. Year 6. Yes. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. So thanks so much, everybody. Have a good night. We'll see you next time. Mischief managed.